get it.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go, baby! All right, so free agency today. This is the craziest free agency I think any of us have ever seen.
Nobody ever complained about the NHL not being the NBA. Today was wilder than any day in the NBA. It was insane.
Okay. No.
24
hours ago, they traded the goalie of the year for nothing. What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Beg your pardon?
It was pretty crazy, Steve. That's the crazy
it's
shit
crazy for sure.
Yeah,
it's crazy
equivalent.
for sure.
It's both leagues have crazy off seasons now. I'm going to say that.
Does the defensive player of the year get waived?
NBA still crazier, Jesse. Did you see the ask for Ben Simmons?
Yeah,
yes, the Raptors.
No. They want 3 first-round picks, a young player, and 3 pick swaps.
Yeah, it's not happening, so it's not real.
They're nuts. They're fucking nuts. If he's that valuable, keep him.
Right.
Anyway,
the NHL was as crazy this year. Last offseason sucked.
This was insane. And so we're going to listen. The reality is, I don't know how long the show is going to go today, but I can tell you that Steve's been basically on and off the air for 7 or 8 hours or longer. So we don't want to kill him.
7 videos for the Sportsnet channel and 1 for my own. So 8
and
videos.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a personal record, I'm pretty sure.
Wow. And so, so obviously Steve's a little gassed. What we do on this show is we tend to focus on the things that have a story surrounding them as much as possible. So we're not going to sit here and list off all the transactions because you can just Google that. We are going to go around the stories. Oh, no, we can't, honestly. I
know. It's just funny to say.
But what we are going to do is, and what I always try to do when we're focusing on this show is and prepping the show is that it's about the stories that bears some diving into. Now, I want to quickly mention a couple of notes off the top before we get into anything. Number 1, on Friday, D'Artagnan returns. Chris Johnson back to the show on our Friday show. Yay.
D'Artagnan.
What is that?
From the Three Musketeers.
He's done that before.
You don't what?
I don't know. That's an old reference.
The Three Musketeers. All right, fine. Well, history guy, of course. So Chris Johnson's going to be back on July the 30th when we do that episode. So it'll be nice and fresh for the long weekend for you, which will be great. And then beyond that,
is it the long weekend?
It is the long weekend in Canada, anyway. And then beyond that, next Wednesday, the Steve Dangle Podcast will have a special episode with Rick Westhead of TSN, who has been following, as we know, the Chicago Blackhawks story. At that time, Rick is going to answer any and all questions that we have. So my suggestion is, and we can start a thread on Reddit or something like that. If you have questions about the investigation, please feel free to start a thread on the STP Reddit page. If you don't have a Reddit account, it's pretty easy to sign up for. We'll look through, and we are going to peel this thing back right to the beginning and find out everything that Rick knows. We're excited to have Rick on, and Rick said he's excited to come on, which is great. Nice. So, despite the subject matter, having Rick on the show is something that we're pretty excited about. And I think diving into this story deep is something that matters a lot to you that listen. I mean, we see the comments. So this is going to be a great couple of episodes. We'll see how tonight goes. Now there's a lot to get to.
Yeah.
So
Jesse, if you don't count Steve Simmons, is Rick Westhead going to be the first TSN personality on this show?
Steve Simmons was kind of part-time when we had him on, and
he was on the reporters, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Don't count.
I also didn't work at Rogers when that happened.
Yeah.
We were going to have Darren Detition on, and
we were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because remember Bang?
Yeah, we did. You did a great impression of Darren Detition. I love.
Not really, but I just said Bang a lot, and it was funny. I thought it was funny.
And Darren Detition liked it. They interviewed him on his site, and I think it was Bar Down that interviewed him or whatever, and he talked about it or whatever it was. I don't know.
It's history, right? It's the first TSN personality.
I think it is. Yeah. Listen, all the TSN personalities are invited. There's no question. We've had. Yeah, you're right. We haven't really. I don't know anyone at TSN. I think that's probably part of it. We worked at Rogers. I knew all the Rogers people.
That's fair. Yeah.
I know the Bar Down folks.
I don't know them personally. I know who they are.
I do. I'm really cool. I'm cool. I'm very cool.
Steve's cooler than you.
Hey, Steve, just big time in me, but we're still ignoring the fact that TSN has not been featured on this show at all. Yeah, I know them all, but fuck them. They can't come on.
Yes. Not
Is
allowed.
that how it is?
No, they work for the inferior product. You know, I hold my nose every time I do a show with you clowns.
You know what? I'm sorry. You're right. We did go down a level when we went to Bell, but Jesse, who has left Bell, can go back to neutral now.
He's
right?
cool now.
Yeah,
I like him more.
and now I'm better than you.
Well, I
A
mean,
few weeks ago, Jesse got
Now?
really cool.
Yeah, all of a sudden I got super
just now.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So listen, we got a lot of places we can go. Okay. We can start with giving away a Vezina Trophy winner. We can go to giving away potentially the best defenseman in the league, or at least a top 5 guy. And then replacing him with a guy whose teammates hated him so much he got booted off his own team and bought out. We can go
Who's
to,
that? I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, we could talk about a Stanley Cup contending team who just lost their starting goaltender. We can talk about a team that traded a $1 million right-handed shot defenseman and signed a similar guy who's older for more money, along with a bunch of other things.
What else can we talk about?
Nope. None of those things.
We could talk about the Leafs.
Oh, ding, ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding, ding. All right. So honestly, when I prepped the show, I'm like, the guys are definitely going to want to talk about Flower first, because that's crazy, giving away a Vezina Trophy goalie.
I forgot it happened.
Apparently
honestly.
not.
Like, so much happened.
So okay. So let me just ask this: what are your thoughts, guys?
Are we doing the Leafs?
Yeah, we're doing the Leafs right now.
Yep.
And you don't have to run down who they signed, because I'll get to that in a second. I want to know how, as my therapist asked, not what you think, but how you feel. Tell me how you feel. How did today leave you feeling? Name a feeling.
Steve, I'm going to let you go off. So I'm just going to say 2 sentences. I think players don't want to play in Toronto. And 2, I think Kyle Dubas might be a bad negotiator. Steve, you can have the floor.
Okay.
Here's how the Leafs did in free agency, ...
That's
and tweet it. My video is up. There. So now that that's up, I had such low expectations heading into today, and they managed to limbo right underneath them like they're on vacation in the Caribbean. Oh God, it is.
Hold on.
It was a disheartening day to be a Leafs fan.
Are they the tourists that get their hair braided too?
Oh no! Listen, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. Adele, listen. I wouldn't go that far. Okay.
All right.
But they got Mrazek. It was a lot of money, and then I thought, oh, they should have traded for a guy. And then I thought, with what? Here's a fact that I didn't really see anybody talking about. Leafs have a first in 2022. That's good.
That's cool.
They have a second in 2022. That's good. They don't have a third. They don't have a fourth. They don't have a fifth. They don't have a sixth. And if Brennan Merrill, I think is his name, but too much happened today. If he plays 30 games with the Leafs this upcoming season, they won't have a seventh either. They'll have 2 picks for 2022. And that's because
it won't matter
because
in
the
2021. GM won't even be here to pick them anyway.
Where they lost. Oh yeah, like he'll be gone. Like this is it. Like this is really it. And Zach Bogosian, the quotes, like oh God, I don't know where to start.
So you know what?
My disappointment in this team, bro.
Let's start with Zach Bogosian. I think
3
that's a really good place to start.
850 Gs.
Yeah, so he goes and signs in Tampa for, just over league min. Okay. Steve's on his phone, so we've lost him.
Well, I got a text from someone going, listen, I know here, I won't say who. I understand if you don't like the Leafs day, but Dubas was unequivocally correct about protecting Hall and expansion.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I got
it applied to the conversation. That's why I read it. Sure. I saw Leafs. What? This could apply to the conversation.
So, Steve, what did Zach Bogosian say?
He likes the organization. It's classy. And that's why I'm leaving for less money. He didn't say that last part, but that's exactly what he did. He vamoosed. I'm sure the Leafs would have given him a raise. I really am. Or at very least given him $1 million. And this dude said, you know what? I'm going to leave literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table so that I can go to a team worth playing for with Tampa. I mean, listen, that dude went from the Tampa Bay Lightning and won a cup, and he got a taste of success. Then he goes to Toronto for $1 million, first in the division. Oh, let's go. and then they lost. The way they lost, which I don't need to walk through it again, but it's cruel and unusual. Cruel and unusual the way this team loses. Cruel and unusual. Up 3-1, and the way they lost the 3 games too, for God's sake. Down big, come back, lose. Down big, come back, lose. Worst effort. Down big against Columbus, come back, win. Worst effort, get shut out in an elimination game. Boston, up 3-2, blow it at home. Worst effort in Game 7 on the road. Up in the third period of Game 7 in 2018. Blow that! Like, just... Bro! I cannot stand how cruel and unusual this team is. And Zach Bogosian said, you know what? That's enough of that. I'm going to go to Tampa where it's hot and they win, and I'm going to do it for 3 years. Why did he sign a 3-year deal? He likes winning.
Okay.
His family also likes it there.
That too.
Yeah. Can I give you 4 words that are going to break your heart?
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
About the Tampa Bay Lightning organization.
That's a lot more than 4 words.
Well, I'm giving you the quote. Give me the Let me give you the context.
I was like, my friend doesn't know how to count.
No.
Well, no, I don't. Ask my math teacher.
Something happened with Adam where he lost his ability to count. It was tragic.
Well, it's 7:38 p.m. and I have to be up early tomorrow for the morning show. So the hours that I'm counting, I'm going to have to, I hope I lose count of those too. No, but here's the thing, okay? About the Tampa Bay organization, Zach Bogosian said these 4 words that will break your heart. They just get it. And I'm going to repeat that again. They just get it.
Is it the cup?
Yeah.
Is it playoff success?
Yeah.
Is it the second round?
Yeah.
Is it salary structure?
Yep.
Is it asset management?
Yes.
Is it coaching?
Yes.
Is it depth?
Mhm.
Is it scoring? Is
Crazy,
it
yes.
defense? Is it goaltending?
Yes.
This is Zach Bogosian, by the way. It gets worse. Like, and they lose Hyman, and they lose. Like, listen, if you want, we'll do a 3-hour show about the Leafs. Like, if you want.
Well, no,
How do you want to carve this out?
Well,
Because we've already done this much on Bogosian.
Right. Well, and I think what people will say in the comment section is, why are you so sad about losing Bogosian? Which is not the point. The point is this Leafs roster unequivocally is going to be worse than last year's. Now, Kyle Dubas did say that he is counting on the personal growth of the stars on this team to
All
carry.
right, pack it in. 2023. Let's see how it goes. Pack it
Rebuild
in.
year. Rebuild
Done.
year.
Done.
So here's what we got, and let me run through, because there were a few names, right? Like there are some names. So obviously Peter Mrazek comes up.
Yep. And like he's
Good goal,
got
wild swings, right?
they needed a tandem goalie, and they got a guy who's been a tandem goalie his whole career. Good fit.
Yep. Nothing. I don't even hate 3.8 million. I think given what the goaltenders were going for, although I'm a little upset with what Washington just paid to get their goalie back, but we'll get to that.
I think he likes the spotlight. So
Toronto's a good spot for him then.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 3 years caught me off guard, especially because no other goalie today signed for 3 years. Holtby, Halak, Anderson, Ranta, Elliott, Brassois, Martin Jones, James Reiner, Bernier, all 2 or 1 year deals.
Allmark got 4.
Allmark got 4.
Yeah.
But all of those other goalies I just named were.
But what I would say to that, Jesse, is they probably gave him the 3rd year to bring the cap hit down.
Exactly, which is a problem you created.
Right. But as Justin Fisher, our good friend, tweeted today, there's a whole lot of GMs signing that's the next guy problem contracts right now.
And I think that's exactly that's where this was going. I think that's exactly one of them. It's Dubas doesn't care what happens in even year 2 and 3 of that deal, because
it doesn't matter.
He needs to win this season.
To be clear, I did not come away from today's free agent frenzy going, I wish the Leafs had spent more. There were some bizarre. Jonathan Bernier makes nearly what he made when the Leafs were trying to make him their starter. I beg your pardon? What?
Right. Well,
Where did
again,
that come from?
We can get to that, but I do want to pull it in on the Leafs here just a little bit. Not because I want to pull it off Bernier. I agree with you, Steve, and I do want to get to that because there's, again, something to that. The Leafs also add Michael Bunting, who they've been linked to for a while. Value add, $900,000.
My cousin gave me permission to cheer for him. It's okay. Because he knocked my cousin out of hockey when they played AA together. He hit my cousin and he never played again.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I didn't know this. I wrote a feature on him in 2014 and it was really nice. And it was talking about like what a great story he was. Cause he is a great story. Played AA, couldn't afford AAA. They bite the bullet. They put him in AAA. He was athlete of the year 3 years in a row at Birchmount High School, which is an athletically driven high school in Scarborough. Finally plays AAA, and who's sitting in the stands one day watching Michael Bunting kill it in AAA? It's Kyle Dubas. So he brings him over to the Sioux Greyhounds. He plays part of a season, and he does great. And so the Coyotes use a 4th rounder on him, and isn't that a great story? And then I got a passive-aggressive text from my aunt, and I said, what? And I didn't understand it, and apparently he hit my cousin when he was 15. And my cousin today was like, you know what, bro? It was 10 years ago. I'm over it.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Does Kyle Dubas have a 15-year relationship with every player on the Leafs?
Dude, Mike Amadio is from Sault Ste. Marie, and he signed him.
Well, okay, but he's from, so he didn't play for the Greyhounds.
Bro, it's a thing.
Still funny. It's still funny.
People are like, you guys are so salty about that. I'm like, listen, most of the Greyhounds Dubas has signed have worked out, but it is a thing.
But it's like if I was like, okay, I'm signing both Stewart brothers and Wayne Simmons and Michael Bunting and Chris Draper and wait a sec, Steve, is this a Scarborough thing? And I go,
the Bare Naked Ladies, Paul Tracy, everybody else. Yeah.
And I go, what are any of them bad?
Can the weekend skate?
Yeah.
You know? Throw them on ice.
Yeah. There's a connection there for sure. And people are like, what's the problem? He knows them inside out. I'm like, I don't doubt that, but I'm just saying, like,
Sean Desmond.
There are other players in the league, is all we're saying.
Thank you. Now, so Bunting value add, but remember, people like I'm as excited about Bunting as I was about VC. It's sort of like if he works out, great, but if he doesn't, he's going to be a Vancouver Canuck.
He's going to be better than VC.
Yeah, okay.
I'll put money on that.
Okay.
No, Michael Bunting will be better than Jimmy Vesey. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to shoot 26% again, but this is a good player. And worst case scenario, like you said, you can waive him, you can bury him. But his numbers are too good in the AHL. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I don't know if top 6 fine, but he'll be fine.
David Kampf of the Chicago Blackhawks also joins the Leafs, and this contract was a bit of a head scratcher. 2 years, 1.5 each year, so it's a 3-year deal, $3 million deal. This guy is a penalty kill specialist, great face-off guy. Especially, I heard from Hawks fans today that basically, with Tays out, he was the guy they could use on face-offs. And fun fact, in the Czech language, Kampf means battle.
Oh. I thought it was, in which language? In Czech?
I believe it's Czech. Oh, no, it's German. German means, but he's from the Czech Republic.
I thought it was struggle.
Sorry. Well, let's not get too close to that one.
Let's not.
Let's go with battle. Anyway, the reality of this is it's a lot of money for a guy who had a goal last year.
Right.
Yes. So what I was amazed by, because I was like, listen, what am I not seeing here? Because why did this guy, like Wayne Simmons, got a premium at 1.5 last year for 1 year. Mm-hmm. This guy, all of a sudden, same market, still flat cap. This guy gets that dollar amount at 2, and he had 1 goal in 56 games. What on earth am I missing here? This is terrible. And then Jay Fresh posts his wins above replacement thing, and I'm like, okay, his chart hates him too. This is terrible. Thomas Drance was talking about him as a good bargain bet as a defensive specialist. There was another chart. Basically, the Chicago Blackhawks were terrible. They were terrible last year. Mm-hmm. And Kampf was a big part of their defensive structure. And what I was really heartened by is Blackhawks fans coming in droves. Because, like, if the Leafs ever get a guy, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm really optimistic for this, or, I know he struggled here, but I think he's going to be fine. Fans will not hesitate to fill my mentions with, don't hold your breath. This guy stinks. Blackhawks fans were like, whoa, no. You're really overreacting to this. This is a good defensive player. He can win faceoffs. He's a decent center. Thomas Drance said he has 10-goal potential. I don't know about that. He's got, we all have potential for something we've never done. And he's never done it. But can he get half a dozen goals? Can he get 10 goals? Maybe.
Who cares about how many goals he gets? If the role is kill penalties and win faceoffs, fine.
Yes, and this provides something that I have been directly asking for years, a dedicated center to play on the penalty kill, which they haven't had since Par Lindholm, which is nuts. So they got him.
So the Leafs have down the middle at this point, it's looking like Matthews, Tavares, Kerfoot, and Kampf. And here's the thing. If Kerfoot moves to the wing, you can put Adam Brooks in there. I'm just not sure who's on the third and fourth line there. But it looked like Adam Brooks deserved at least a look on the wing. Yeah. And I think depth-wise, if you look at the Leafs depth chart, it sucks. So they're going to need to play guys like him. And I think beyond all of that, they're not done. They're not done. But Dubas did say today that he doesn't think that they're going to explore the trade market. He said they've got enough money left over for the quote secondary market. But yeah, they said probably not going to go trade. He said anything can happen, but not likely that we're going to make trades.
They have less than $1 million in cap space right now.
$850,000. If they don't make a trade, I wholeheartedly hate that and wholeheartedly disagree. And it's a ridiculous decision for this hockey team. It's bad.
And I'll get to the end of the list, but I am going to ask you the question again. Remember a couple weeks ago when I was like, I'm not sure about this plan. Are we all now not sure about the plan too?
I keep saying August 1st. August 1st because listen, the one thing we know about GMs is they're dirty, just forgivable liars, unrepentant liars. So I don't believe them. It could be posturing. Maybe that's Dubas sort of sending a message out there because there were trade talks and he didn't like what he saw. He didn't like what he was offered. Right. So that could be a thing. Things can change, but no, surely they can't go into the season with this team.
I also want to do some breaking news here quickly, guys, if I can. It looks like Chicago has solved their goaltending issue. Craig Morgan,
Colorado.
That's what I meant. Colorado. The Coyotes are trading Darcy Kemper to Colorado for Connor Timmins and a first-round pick. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. It does change the picture for Colorado, although I don't think that's how they saw today going.
No. Well, and it sounded like it was a bidding war with Edmonton.
Yeah, which we will most definitely need to talk about. But let's keep going with the Leafs. They also signed two defensemen, Biega and Dahlstrom. Biega got into 13 games last year, I think, for the Detroit Red Wings. Been around forever. Dahlstrom's another guy that's depth, played in the AHL. And they picked up Brennan Menell. And I think the thing with him is that he had really good AHL and KHL numbers, and he's a defenseman, right? You brought him up earlier, the conditional seventh.
Right-handed defenseman. Right-handed. He was the leading defensive scorer on Dynamo Minsk in the KHL. People go, he's okay. He put up great numbers in the AHL. It doesn't matter. Well, because Ozhiganov did and Zaitsev did. Okay, but like Panarin did, and like good players have done it.
Yeah. Like it matters a little.
Yeah, it matters a little.
You don't put up bad numbers in the AHL and then go to the NHL and go, "Oh, I'm a star now." Right?
My hope is this guy who has played on North American ice, which Mikko Lehtinen hadn't really. My hope is this guy can be what we thought Mikko Lehtinen was going to be, and he can help out the power play. We'll see.
Okay. Jesse, did you want to say something? You look like you were going to say something.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Okay. And I'm just getting through the rest of it. Josh HoSang will come to camp on a PTO, and then
it's a PTO.
It's a PTO, like whatever. Yeah. It's great. And listen, the guy's got tons of skill. So I'm not sure what fully, like the thing with Josh HoSang, it's always like, you knew he had the skill, but for whatever reason, it just never came together, or teams didn't give him a shot. And, because he had a different personality and it didn't fit the traditional hockey mold, which we're finding out is that might be a good thing. And so I think the Leafs are the place for Josh HoSang to give it one last shot, because as Dubas said in the press conference, it is sort of a do or die for him, right? He's got to do it now.
To me, it's a bit of a last shot because like I'm going to his hockey DB from the 18-19 season. Islanders, 10 games. Bridgeport Sound Tigers, 16 games. San Antonio Rampage, 6 games. Örebro this past season in Sweden, 5 games. Linköping in Sweden this past season, 4 games. That's a lot of teams, man. That's a lot of teams. But how many PTOs get signed on the first day of free agency?
Whew.
Like, to me, that sounds like a commitment, right? It is and it isn't. A PTO is not a commitment, but I'm willing to bet he's going to be working out with the Leafs this summer. He's going to be working out with their staff. He's going to be working out with the Leafs in a way that a player simply skating with players, in the summer to keep in shape. He's going to be working with them in a way that's more than casual. If makes sense.
If you're the Leafs, that's the right thing to do. Like, if he's a PTO guy, you'd want to give him. This is the thing I don't understand about NHL teams. They sign these PTO guys, and they're like, "Make it, sucker! Like, try to make my team.
Days. Yeah,
try to make my fucking team."
Yeah,
it's like, why not just give them the support and give them an opportunity to like that? I have to say, if that's the case, if he's going to be working out with the training staff, understanding the expectations of what it's going to take for him to be on the AHL squad or the NHL squad, whatever it is. Why wouldn't you give him the support to try to maximize that potential?
That's a pure guess from me, by the way.
If the guess is correct, then I think it makes a lot of sense. And no, PTOs are usually last minute things, Steve. They're usually right before training camp.
Here's a guess as to why other teams don't do it. It's because giving people resources costs money, and other teams are so cheap and they don't spend the money. Do you remember when that leak happened about the rest of the league fighting back on the Leafs, giving their players access to facilities in the offseason? And they're like, no, you can't be doing this, Toronto. You have too much money. So I assume it's the same thing with something like this, where it's, hey, most teams don't give a guy a 2-month head start on a PTO because they don't want to employ a guy for 2 months extra.
Yeah. But spend over the cap by millions of dollars.
By all means.
By all means, that's fine. You paid for a guy's plane ticket from Latvia?
You let him use ice in a Etobicoke during
whoa. What happened to my sport?
Are you trying to make it past the first round? You did?
The Leafs are the threat here.
All right.
Get out of here.
Now,
get out of here.
Given what the right-handed shot defensive market was today, and it was wowza. And we're going to go over that. It starts with Dougie Hamilton, who rightfully gets the big fat contract he deserves.
Rightfully?
Oh, no! But, you get guys like the Canucks who brought on, and let me pull this up, like Tyson Barrie getting, $4.5 million over 3 years. Don't hate it. Cody Ceci getting $3.25 million.
To me, it's having both.
Okay. But here's what I say. And then like a guy like Vancouver made this signing, and I can't remember the guy's name, so I'm pulling it up.
Travis Hyman?
Who's that? Pullman. Tucker Pullman.
Oh boy.
4 years at $2.5 million a year for Tucker Pullman? I mean, great for him.
Oh yeah.
But holy smokes. Like, so you see, okay, so people are saying, listen, you owe Justin Hall an apology. Man, this had nothing to do with Justin Hall. For me, it was about asset management. And I said, if right-handed shot defensemen are worth that much, then trade them. Because you could get a fucking boatload for them. And I think...
Replace him with who?
Travis
then
Dermott.
You need...
No way.
Their numbers together aren't that bad, guys. And I think Justin Hall's value is propped up by Jake Muzzin by like a lot more than people give it credit for.
Maybe.
But
well, definitely.
You need somebody to play with Jake Muzzin. I don't know if it's Dermott. Like,
the Leafs defense isn't the issue here.
I know. Yeah. I'm just saying. I'm upset.
Yeah.
Let me be upset.
Okay. So this is my question. If this is the roster of the Toronto Maple Leafs on day one of the NHL regular season, if it's October 13th and we're sitting here and this is their roster, are you guys happy with that? What do you think of it?
Well, is HoSang on the roster or not?
Let's say HoSang played well and he's there, like depth forward. He's probably scratched.
He might be first line, Jesse. Like
Bunting
might be first line. They were saying that.
These are the guys you have to play with. And let's say HoSang is your extra skater. He's scratched and he's a healthy scratch.
To make this infinitely easier, I'm going to say HoSang doesn't make the team.
Yeah.
So okay.
What do you guys think of the lineup?
Matthews Marner, that's easy. Tavares Nylander, that's easy. Simmons will be on the team.
Kerfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to think Robertson probably plays at least the first 10 games.
Yeah.
Although they're saying, oh, well, he needs another year in the AHL. I'm like, they probably don't have a choice.
Yeah,
He's
put him in
got to
there.
play with the Leafs. He's got to play.
He's on the left side, probably on line 2 or 3.
Oh, baby.
Bunting will be first line. They're already saying that.
Probably, yeah. There you go. Put him in there.
Oh, boy, I'm really struggling here. You know what? Jesus, I think you're right. Okay. I'm not having fun. I'm not having a good time right now. So I have Bunting, Matthews, Marner, Kerfoot, Nylander. Kerfoot, Tavares, Nylander. I have Kerfoot on left wing. They're so thin. And then what do? There's McKay.
And then you do Engvall, Brooks, Simmons.
No, that's a fourth line. That's not good enough.
Conf?
They can't score.
Well, no.
That line can't score.
Well, neither can Conf, though. This is what I'm saying, man. If defense wasn't the issue last year, then go get some depth scoring and use the defenseman that's got value to do it.
You gotta trade Engvall or bury that deal.
All right.
And I think you need to strongly consider trading even Mikheyev.
The 6 forwards you have left are Brooks, Engvall, Mikheyev, Simmons, Spezza, and I'm missing one. And Conf. So there's 6.
Okay, Spezza I don't hate as the fourth line center. Conf I don't hate as the third line center.
Spezza's going to be wing.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think at this point in his career,
listen,
he's probably.
I don't think you hate a roster with a 100-point right winger and a 50-goal scoring center.
Yep.
And despite everybody being extremely down on John Tavares, which I still don't understand because the guy's he's a point-a-game player and he can play defensively too. Like he's responsible defensively. I don't get the hate on for Tavares at all. I don't think you hate any of the players on the team. Maybe you don't love the contracts, but here's what I don't like. I don't like how centered on 4 guys this entire team's fortunes are.
I agree with that. Here, let me take my best stab at this, okay? Bunting, Matthews, Marner. No combination of anybody is going to look bad with those two, right?
No.
Kerfoot, Tavares, Nylander. We know it works. We've seen
Don't hate it. That's a good line.
The third line I threw together is Mikheyev, Kampf, Simmons. Pain in the ass.
Yeah, you hate playing them.
Can't. Not a really a threat on offense, but it's okay.
A non-option on offense. And then the fourth line is an all-offensive fourth line and a bunch of fun, and you can use them throughout the lineup and potentially on the power play if you need an adjustment. I have Robertson, Brooks, Spezza.
Oh, I like that.
It's a fun line.
That's a fun line.
And you know what? That's good.
If you line match with another team's fourth line, they're going to beat them.
Yeah.
I'll take that line. I'll take that. Spezza had 30 points last year.
Yeah.
I'll take that line.
And who knows what Robertson can be? Like he can be a first line star. He can be that fourth line guy that we need, energy guy. Who knows? And we'll find that out. You know,
he's earned a shot. He's earned a shot. Last year was such a fragmented season because of injury. He did well enough in the AHL. We know he's a soldier. He's earned a shot. He should make this team out of camp.
Okay. So that's good.
I look at that team and I say, you're probably behind Tampa and Florida and probably Montreal at this point.
I don't know about Montreal.
We'll see.
I don't know about that roster now.
I
don't have any centers left.
I have them as a playoff team. The Leafs, at least.
Well, and they lost
in the division.
They lost Bogosian on defense, and I like Bogosian, but like if you're going to lose one guy, I mean, it's not that bad. You can still make a move with Dermott, or you can keep him, or it's the least of my worries.
Sandin and Liljegren are also going to get their shots this year. They have to.
100%.
They have to.
100%.
It's time for those guys to step up. But I think when you look at, so you think, Jesse, to complete that, Panthers, Lightning, Boston, lots of
Boston.
I left off.
Yeah. And then Montreal finished 18th this year. Then they lost to no. Yeah. And Carey Price may not play. And Shea Weber, I know they got Savard, but
that's good.
Yeah. So we'll rank the Leafs ahead of Montreal for this.
I think so.
So we have them coming in 4th ahead of Montreal, Ottawa, who looks surprisingly could be sneaky good, Detroit and Buffalo.
how could you rank the Leafs above Montreal? To answer your question, Habs fans, for all the reasons that you said yourselves out loud before the playoffs even began.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Let's have an honest conversation here. It's not the greatest. It's okay. It could make the playoffs. I think Engvall's probably got to go. There is a little bit of wiggle room here, so that's okay.
Florida also didn't necessarily get better, I don't think, in the last.
The Carter Verhaeghe contract was a shockingly big amount of money.
Yeah.
A year before it needed to be signed.
Here's the thing about bets. You usually don't hit on all of them. And the Panthers went Bennett. He was small sample size, but Bennett. Montour. We know you weren't very good before you joined us, but Montour and Verhaeghe. We know you barely played in the NHL before you played with us, but Verhaeghe. They really, really slammed some money down. Big bets. Bill Zito didn't do anything with subtlety.
And Verhaeghe is interesting because he's a year out from being a free agent. Like he makes $1 million this year, and then that extension will kick in. Although according to CapFriendly, it's not totally confirmed yet. Yeah, Bennett or not Bennett too. Did Bennett do the same thing? No, Bennett was a free agent.
Braden Point did.
Braden Point did. Well, duh. I think I don't hate the Leafs lineup, but my question is this: are they better?
No.
I like the goaltending situation a lot better. For anybody that thinks that the Carolina contract with Freddie Anderson, that's a bet. Like, I have to be honest, and this doesn't make me happy because I loved cheering for Freddie Anderson and he was Vezina quality for 3 years here in Toronto. He was unplayable. They could not put him in the playoffs at all. He was unplayable at the AHL level before the playoffs because of these injuries. And I'm shocked that they would sign him to that kind of money in that kind of term. But we'll get to
here's the honest. We'll get to the Canes.
We can go to the Canes. Do you want to go to the Canes?
I want to go to the Canes.
Yeah, we should wrap up the Leafs.
Okay. Let's wrap up.
So their goalie situation is an improvement over last season.
Yeah, if Mrazek's healthy.
Yeah, where they ended last season was Campbell and essentially Rittich because you couldn't really play Anderson.
Yeah, there were so few there were so few options where there was no injury concern. Even Ullmark, was hurt last year. Goalies get hurt, man. Goalies get hurt. And by the end of the year next year, the Bruins could theoretically have a depth chart of Ullmark and Swayman and Rask.
Yeah,
he could sign a contract with them mid-season after he recovers from surgery, which is something I'm pretty sure I predicted months ago.
And they should.
Could happen.
Around February, he should be getting ready to go.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if you're Boston, why wouldn't you do that? That's spectacular.
Yeah.
Defense, they're the same, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Minus Bogosian, yeah. But
pretty much.
Forward, Hyman's gonna. The Hyman loss is big, but so here's a question that I have, and I was thinking about this with Zach Hyman. You know, when you're in a group project and there's that one person that works really, really hard, and you're like, I could work hard, but this person's going to do the work anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you are the next group project. That person's in a different group for 7 years with a no movement clause. And you realize that there's nobody around that's going to do the hard work. And you know that you're capable of doing the hard work. And, also having the great attitude too, and being a good person. I wonder if Zach Hyman not being there will force something out of some of the players. And I know this seems like backwards logic, but I wonder if him not being there forces them to push it even harder. And I know that sounds
I like your thinking. I like positivity.
I love positivity, but I'm sorry, if a do or die game 7 can't force it out of you, nothing will.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that listen. I'm cheering as much as I don't agree with this tack that Dubas is taking. I want him to be right. I want to get dunked on at the end of next season. The Leafs have lower expectations now than they have in the entire Dubas era, by the way.
Oh yeah, easily.
The pressure's off now. People are like, oh, okay, we've seen this movie.
Here's the problem with the Leafs looking better. heading into the playoffs, they looked fantastic. And our eyes lied. Our eyes lied, man.
Did our eyes lie, or did they let themselves down?
That one.
And it only lied for 3 games. It was for the first 4 games that they didn't lie. We saw exactly the team we saw in the regular season.
And not even all of the 3 games.
No, in game, what was it, 5?
Just the most important chunks of 3 games.
They could have won that one too, but we don't need to rehash that.
It's like when you're back
Why
to
not?
high school. You start the semester on a tear in a particular class, and then you just stop doing your homework, and you're like, I might get a 70 out of this.
Yeah, when you start doing the calculations about, okay, so the last 3 exams are worth 35% of my grade. So even if I failed those, I would still pass the class. So I'm going to get like a 60 on those, and I'll still end with like a 75.
I'll be absent for the exam. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
The worst,
In fact, even if I show up and get 20%, it's okay.
Yeah.
worst feeling as a student is struggling in math and trying to calculate what your math mark is. I did it a lot, and I was just like, I can't do this because I suck at math. Do I suck at math bad enough to fail? I'll never know.
Listen, we've been negative about the Leafs because they deserve it. I don't hate the lineup as it stands right now. I didn't have high expectations about this day, but I have serious questions and serious reservations. And really, at the end of the day, it isn't about the guys they're bringing in. I know what Peter Mrazek is. Detroit fans know. Carolina fans know. We know what Peter Mrazek is.
Good goalie.
We know the rest of the guys are, it's guy, right? Good for Josh HoSang. Hopefully he makes the team. That'd be great. What I am most questioning this offseason is the core 4. And in fact, it's really 2 of the core 4.
You can't ask for better.
William Nylander has always been William Nylander.
Yeah.
He is the only year he wasn't William Nylander was the year that he missed training camp in half the season when he signed the contract.
Tavares, hot start, bad start, wicked finish.
Wicked finish, and frankly, pretty consistent in his years with the Leafs. Matthews and Marner were spectacular in the regular season.
Like we can't evaluate until next spring. It's the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling. Capitals fans, I need you to talk me through this and explain how I cope. You're the only ones I think we can rely on.
Hey, Capitals, that's not fair to Capitals fans. The Capitals won playoff rounds.
Yeah, but they ran into the same black and yellow team every year, and it ruined their good time. Does that sound familiar? Except we've decided to spice it up and throw the Blue Jackets and Habs in there, and
yeah.
Oh man.
But Adam, the reason you question 2 of the core 4 is because they have contracts that are outpaying their performances. If they were paid less on the cap, they would be perfectly fine because our expectations would be lower because they wouldn't be making this amount of money.
To be oddly specific about that, Jesse, during the regular season, both of them live up to their contracts.
100%.
Like Matthews won the Rocket. Like, what do you expect? $11.5 million? Yeah, I expect you to win the Rocket. That's pretty great, or be pretty close. And he had a special year, and it's such a fucking shame. Like, it's such an allegory for what being a Leaf fan is. Matthews scores 4 goals in his first game as a Leaf, and they fucking lose in overtime. That's being a Leaf fan. Matthews wins the Rocket Richard. It's the first time a Leaf has led the league in goals since the fucking 1940s, since like World War II, and no one's talking about it. And then because of what the playoffs were, and I think so, I would say they earned every cent in the regular season.
Marner was 4th in scoring overall in the.
Like, what do you expect? That's really good. I think that's good value.
Defended him every step of the way. Oh, he's being paid like a superstar. Look at the numbers. That's what a superstar does. What are you talking about? But a superstar shows up in the playoffs, man.
And Steve, you're right. I think, and Jesse, I think you're right. The super in superstar stands for playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you a superstar. And
Braden
Matthews and Marner,
superstar.
Yeah, superstar wins big in tough moments. You see what the Bucks did and Giannis did, recently with the finals, right? Pushed and pushed and pushed. And, ran into this team, ran into that team. What's up, Steve?
But until he did it, he was a bum. And Budenholzer was a bum. And everything about the Bucks was sort of leafy. I think the best basketball analogy is probably the 76ers. The young hot talent, and they completely disappear in the playoffs. But that was the Bucks.
Well, the Milwaukee Bucks were a Kevin Durant half shoe size away from being eliminated in the semifinals.
Lost.
Literally, his toe was on the line. His shot was a 2 instead of a 3, and then they ended up winning that game. So there's a certain amount of luck that has to go into you winning professional sports playoff games. Like, you need that luck, but also get into the position where you lose the game on luck or you win it on luck instead of you collapsing.
How about the Leafs erased a 3-goal deficit in Game 5? They could have won the first round in 5 games, and Alexander Galchenyuk gives the puck away. So they did get to that position. They blew it. They were on the wrong side of the toe.
Right.
So I think, okay, this is a very long bow. Here's the bow. We're just not going to know, and we need to do our best to enjoy the next till April. we got to do our best.
Jesse and I's birthday.
There you go.
That's what April is for everybody.
Yeah, it's the whole.
I know that's what you put. Everybody who listens to this show puts it in their Apple Calendar. I know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesse and Adam's month. That's what it is.
That's what I call it.
We're renaming it. It's Jesse and Adam's month.
We're
asking for the Leafs to fall on the right side of the toe. We're asking them to be the Bucks instead of the Nets.
And something they cannot do.
Which
April.
just seems impossible for the Leafs to accomplish, and they can't do it until April.
So let me ask. I know we're putting a bow on this, but fuck it. Let's keep going here for just a 6 seconds.
This is the most interesting thing.
Okay.
Quick second here. Don't bear with me on this one.
No. Ethan?
Is it fair to say that after 5 years of the Matthews, Marner, Nylander era, that it's okay to be hard on them until they do it?
Yes.
That's how it works. You haven't done it until you do it. So until you do it, you don't get credit for doing it. That's just
they got to do it all at once.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. But my point is, like, get to the second and third round, and I think they can. I think they can. For sure they can. But I don't blame Dubas for doubling down, because what fucking choice does he have?
Right. Yeah.
But to me,
trade one of them.
I am going to be hard on this team until they fucking do it, man. And here's the thing: we sang these guys' praises for another 6-7 months this year, and then it all falls apart in the first round, and all of a sudden we're being too hard on.
I love my job, but if I had a time machine, I'd literally burst into the studio during Kyle Dubas's "We Can and We Will" interview and pour Pepsi all over the microphone and all over the equipment and just ruin the studio and get fired. I would lose my job and I would lose my income, but I would save the team.
Well,
you wouldn't kill baby Hitler first?
The time machine doesn't go back that far.
All right. Listen,
2018.
That's it. It's the cheap. 2018 only time machine.
It's cheap. Yeah. It's cheap. Don't
you wouldn't pay the extra $1 for the expensive time machine?
It's what it. Why don't I just pay for express shipping to there, Scrooge McDuck?
That's good there, Jesse. Well done.
That was good.
Well done. Hey, by the way, you know what? You know who we have to blame for the Leafs' failure? 31 Thoughts. This is Merrick and Friedman's fault, because that's where he said it. He said that we can and we will on that podcast.
31 Thoughts?
Is that where he said it?
Yeah.
I think he recorded it in the main studio, though.
Well, I know, but
picture it for some.
I'm pretty sure he said it on their show.
No way. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
I always remembered it as a press conference. But
and as two guys who were so mean and bullies, like Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick, who have been spectacular human beings, and we love them. Mm-hmm. And they know we're kidding. We blame them. We have to put it on them. It's their fault.
Oh, Adam's right. July 4th, 2018. 31 Thoughts. I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. We can and we will. And they did. It just maybe wasn't the right choice. Just want to take a break to tell you this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Check out betterhelp.com/SDP. Now, life is full of stressors. It doesn't matter who you are, what you have. Life is stressful. And you're going to have things in your life that are going to throw you off. Maybe feeling down, maybe feeling out, maybe a little depressed. Maybe that you're like at a total loss. And if your stress is high, your temper is shorter than usual, even if you're starting to feel kind of the strain of relationships, you probably need a chance to unload to a third party. Well, unload that stress, get it out, talk to somebody who's completely unbiased about your life, somebody who isn't going to judge you or take sides on anything. And when there are things you can't tell anyone, this is a person that you can tell. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't feel comfortable. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload the stressors and get unbiased feedback that you'd be pretty surprised at what you might gain from it. See if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the code is SDP. Listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/SDP. That's BETTERHELP.com/SDP. With summer in full swing, we're swapping out the winter warmth for easy, breezy comfort for the season with award-winning sheets from Brooklinen. You should check it out. It's one of the coolest things about Brooklinen is you've got so many options. They're famous for their luxe sateen and classic percale sheets, but also they've got some amazing linen and some even more amazing cashmere sheets because you should treat yourself. And when it comes to prints and colors, they whip up new styles every season, like the ochre colorway in linen and banana stripe pattern in classic and luxe. Those are my personal favorites, just in time for summer. Brooklinen sheets also pair perfectly with the rest of their bedding essentials like cozy comforters, pillows, and duvet covers. And since everyone knows summer comfort goes way beyond the bedroom, they've also got some seriously great bath towels, robes, and beach towels too. All this high-quality, luxury-grade comfort without the luxury price tags. It's no wonder why Brooklinen's got over 75,000 five-star reviews and counting. Hopefully yours to be included. So get ready for summer. Go to brooklinen.com and use the promo code SDP to get $20 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's BROOKLINEN.com/SDP for $20 off a minimum purchase of $100. That's brooklinen.com/SDP. If dreams of vacations and enjoying the fun of life are turning back into reality for you, don't let concerns about financial setbacks keep you from saying yes. Credit Karma helps keep your financial goals in check so you won't have to hit pause on the good times ahead. So here's the deal. Credit Karma's got game-changing technology that shows you tailored offers for credit cards and personal loans that you're more likely to be approved for, so you can apply with more confidence. They'll use your credit and other financial information to show you custom recommendations. And whether you want cash back or travel rewards or you consolidate debt, Credit Karma can help you find the offers that fit your goals. And with a selection of options and approval odds, you have the power to make informed decisions. It's Credit Karma. Apply with confidence. Go to creditkarma.com/podcast to learn more and find offers tailored just for you. That's creditkarma.com/podcast, PODCAST, or you can see your offers at the Credit Karma app. So just download that. Apply with confidence today. Go to creditkarma.com/podcast or the Credit Karma app. Okay, so we want to get into the Canes. There's a lot here. With the Canes, there's a lot here. And, you know, we could talk about the goaltending situation, which we should. But I think we need to start with the fact that for some perplexing reason, Carolina is a team to me that is just about as close to almost perfect as you can get. Like that is you have Slavin and Hamilton. You got a good goaltending duo last year with Mrazek and Reimer. You've got a forward group that's pretty spectacular.
And Nedeljkovic.
Who's like, yeah, this goalie that's come out of nowhere. And then you got Rod Brindamore, who is the most beloved coach and probably, I mean, would you call him the best coach in the league? Top three? Him, Barry Trotz, John Cooper?
Top five
right?
minimum.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, you have to chalk this up to the owner. They are working on a budget to save several $1 million here and there. They are grinding the coaching staff, they are grinding the players, and they are making Don Waddell make moves that in a full cap situation, Don Waddell would not have to make. And that starts with, and according to Sarah Sivian, their final offer was somewhere in the neighborhood of $6.2 million a season to Dougie Hamilton. He signed for $9 million. That could have been updated since I did, but Sarah's a pretty good source on the Canes. So I'm going to trust what she says.
I believe it.
I believe it too.
They let Nedeljkovic go he asked for 3.5 or 3.
Yeah, and Sarah, you could tell Sarah's tweeting this like, really? And and so, you know, you're offering him that. That's ridiculous. Okay. And you are allowing for Dougie Hamilton to walk. Because you make a deal like that, you make an offer like that to Dougie Hamilton, you know he's not going to take it.
I hang up the phone and don't call you for 3 days.
100%. You know he's gone.
I give you 3 days to look up who the fuck you're talking to.
So here's...
You offer me that kind of money, I'm Dougie Hamilton.
Well, and they offered it to him today. Some reports had it as high as $7 million, but even then, like,
no.
Who do you think you're talking to?
Right. And I know Mike Fuda is not necessarily the biggest fan of Dougie Hamilton, as he said on the broadcast today, which I was shocked by. But the rest of the league seems to be. And $9 million a year is a pretty good amount of money for a top shot right-handed defenseman. If Vancouver's signing Tucker Pullman to 2.5, Dougie Hamilton's worth every cent of that $9 million. And so beyond that, you know, we talked about Nedeljkovic last episode, but then, you know, one of the things about the Hurricanes that we've loved for so long, the bunch of jerks, the what is it? The title? What's the wave at the end? What are they? Why is that? Storm surge at the end when they get the fans clapping, and that used to piss Don Cherry off, which I loved. I love that he was mad about that. It was great because it was new and it was fun and the fans are involved. And let's be straight here. They're going out and bargain bin shopping guys who have enormous asterisks next to their names.
No.
I don't need to tell you what Tony DeAngelo did, even just last season. Like, if you ignore all of the rest of the stuff, Tony DeAngelo was punched out by his own goaltender and kicked off the New York Rangers, who had a terrible season last year.
And had just signed him to 2 years, and they kicked him out after 6 games. Great teammate, though.
Well, and then I don't know if this deal is finalized or if it's even happened yet. So they get Tony DeAngelo, and I'm assuming Tony DeAngelo is going to replace Dougie Hamilton's minutes.
On
right?
the power play, at very least.
On the power play. So for $1 million, they get Tony DeAngelo, which, from a hockey perspective, what a great steal. Right?
Jay Fresh had a great line when he posted his wins above replacement card. It's basically, he's a really capable offensive defenseman with great numbers. It says something about how much of a prick he must be that the Rangers don't want him.
And then you apparently, and I don't know if this deal is finalized, like I said, Jake Virtanen. Let me remind you that Jake Virtanen.
Really?
That there was apparently interest shown. I don't know if this has happened.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see that.
I did see that. I did see that. I don't think it's signed up yet.
I saw the interest. I didn't.
But the interest in Jake Virtanen, I don't think the deal is signed yet, if it even happens at all. Jake Virtanen, who has a sexual assault allegation pending.
Investigation
happening right now.
Yeah. So Sarah Sivian reported a source close to the Hurricanes say the team never had interest in Jake Virtanen. According to the source, there were trade talks with Vancouver that did not include Virtanen. According to this source, the Canes have no interest in the player.
Good. Great. Okay.
There you go.
That's great to hear. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to read you a thought from Tony DeAngelo. I want to read you a thought from a Carolina Hurricanes season ticket holder. Can I read this?
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
When the Tony DeAngelo news started to kind of percolate and you saw the Canes and the connection there, this fan wrote this, and this is from earlier this morning, about 9:57 Eastern. So after emailing my Canes ticket rep that I'd consider canceling my tickets if they signed DeAngelo yesterday, the rep touched base with me via phone just a moment ago, and here's what I've learned. He wouldn't mention the player by name, but it sounds like it's a done deal. Waddell usually does a day one free agent presser, and while one wasn't official, I was told to expect one. The team knows many fans are upset, angry, and that their brand are going to take a hit. Their brand is going to take a hit. And remember what I told you about this brand, right? The fans love it. The people around the team or people around the league envy this brand. There's a real connection with, we've earned this. We're doing this together. This locker room loves each other. The main focus of the call, according to this particular fan, was trust Rod. He got rid of locker room cancers 3 years ago, and we wouldn't be making this signing if we thought it was an issue. We've had feedback from Stahl and Slavin. And if they didn't think it was the best move, it wouldn't be done. This fan said, I responded with, I'm sure you had feedback from former teammates as well. He said, yes. I asked if they understood that the image of this fun-loving team that had become everybody's favorite second team was going to be severely damaged. He said, trust Rod. So that's it. Rod is now not only supposed to coach, but rehabilitate a habitual locker room cancer. That's messaging straight from the Canes. Now, the Canes media went right in on Waddell today.
Wyshynski asked about the insurrection. Jesus.
Yeah. So let me read this. Let me read this.
I didn't see this.
So Greg Wyshynski said, do you agree with the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol? And Tony DeAngelo said,
it's the most surreal question ever asked in the history of hockey media. It's the most
fucking wow. Wow.
Who did he ask?
Do you agree with the attempted overthrowing of the United States government?
He asked Tony DeAngelo.
Yes.
No fucking way.
Because he's on Parler, dude. Like,
yeah. What were the tweet I saw today, which is a little bit snide, but it was like Tony Q Angelo.
Oh, that's an old one. Oh yeah.
Don
what was
Waddell,
his response?
He said no, he didn't. By the way,
that's so funny.
NYR fan 977-998-659865 is now going to be a Hurricanes fan. So I'm just letting you know that apparently D'Angelo's burner is really thrilled about this too. And Greg Wyshynski did tweet that Don Waddell said the Hurricanes have not directly told Tony DeAngelo not to have a social media presence. So there's that. And they asked Tony about they asked Don Waddell. Let me Sarah Sivian didn't have a chance to quote this specifically because she was paying attention to the press conference. But she said, what is it about Tony DeAngelo that you think has changed? To Don Waddell. And what he kept repeating in this press conference was, you can just tell, you can just tell. And then there was
we know he's good at hockey.
Right. And then there was some allusion
shit hasn't changed.
He was working with a group in New York. And that they talked to this group in New York, and so there's that.
Like who?
Right.
The International Federation of Pizza Parlors, like what organization in New York? Is there a place on earth with more organizations? What organization? Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Be more vague. Just say you know he's good at hockey. Like, stop implying. I wish the Carolina Hurricanes would stop implying that paying Carolina Hurricane fans and customers are stupid. I wish they would stop. He's good at hockey, guys. Mm-hmm. I know that. We all know that. Tony DeAngelo's good at hockey. That's why you signed him. Just say it. Own it.
Stephen
a bunch of disingenuous liars. It's not as catchy. I don't think it would sell many shirts, but
Stephen Wino tweeted this. Tony DeAngelo says on a video call that his problems stemmed from his competitiveness and being competitive.
Okay.
And he quoted and said, I just have to prove it to the Hurricanes that was the case. And
I
then,
just have to prove it to the Sarnias thing. I just have to prove it to the Lightning. I just have to prove it to the Coyotes. I just have to prove it to the Rangers. You know, there's been a lot of talk about second chances in this past week. This guy's past his, man. He's past his. But here it is again.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he's lost millions of dollars now, right?
Yeah,
like
he's still getting paid $1 million to play NHL hockey.
Right. And true. I'm just saying, like, okay, so he had $1 million. What did he have? A $5 million? Like he's going to get of the $10 million he signed for last year, he's going to get, or 9 million or whatever it was. He's going to get like $1 million and then $1 million this year. It's not good. So I
don't know. That sounds pretty good. For being a Trump supporting asshole, like that's a lot to get away with. And you still get millions of dollars, and a bunch of teams don't want you, and you get to play hockey for a living.
And here's the funny,
pretty good.
The funny part is the Trump supporting thing is like how many pegs down the list is that?
Right.
And
he was on a lot of teams' shit lists long before Donald Trump ever decided, you know what, I'm done with this talk show thing.
Forget the Trump thing. Now, also beyond that, so Stephen Wino goes on to tweet, DeAngelo, asked by Wyshynski, said he does not support the Jan 6 insurrection at the Capitol, which is just
legitimately surreal.
questions I've ever heard.
It's the most surreal question ever asked at a hockey press conference in the history of the sport.
Could anyone other than Greg ask that?
No, God bless him.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, yes.
Stephen Wino asked Tony DeAngelo about the, quote, incident that caused the Rangers to send him home. He refused to answer, said there had been some misunderstanding about what happened. Quote, it's in the past. There's mistakes made by myself that I take responsibility for. And then follows it up, and this is just the one final tweet. Tony DeAngelo says he hopes Hurricanes fans don't cancel their season tickets plan. Quote, stick with us, give me a shot.
Cancel them, folks. Cancel them.
I mean, I think at the end of the day here, here's what it was. We talked about this with the Canadians, who, by the way, we will talk about again. Don't worry, they haven't gotten away. Just like with Logan Mailloux or Mailloux or however you pronounce his name.
I think.
Just like with him, this is greed. The Carolina Hurricanes didn't want to pay Dougie Hamilton, so they got bargain bin, racist connection, and many other things, and noted bad teammate Tony DeAngelo. Now, people keep saying, oh, well, I keep checking in with his teammates. I think Mike Rupp, who's a former NHL player, and I think he works in Pittsburgh, said, well, Tony DeAngelo, everybody that I talked to says he's a good teammate.
No, a guy punched him in the face and he got kicked off a hockey team. The good teammates don't get punched in the face and kicked off teams multiple times.
I mean, very few people are universally hated.
Like even Thanos had buddies. Okay. So I think and I wouldn't necessarily compare the two. It's a little different, but at the end of the day.
Well, one's never had a movie made about them.
That's true. At the end of the day, It's greed, man. They wanted to save a few $1,000,000. And the thing is, the Hurricanes are too good for this. You worked so hard to create this.
Adam, evidently, no, they're not.
No. Yeah.
No, they're not.
Not anymore.
Kevin
We
Weeks.
can't say that.
Kevin Weeks, this wasn't the context, but, former Carolina Hurricanes goalie, Kevin Weeks, he was talking about something to do with free agency this past week, and he said something that I've heard variations of, but never quite this version. They're trying to buy champagne with beer money.
Wow.
And
That's
it's
good.
just not going to work. And their goaltending situation, if we're going to move to that.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going next.
And just lastly on the signing, it's just there's a certain I don't know if it's everybody. The most people in hockey will put the on ice product above everything else. It doesn't matter who you are as a person, doesn't matter what you do. If you can play hockey, you can play for our team. If you're good at hockey, we'll put you here. We don't really care what you are as a person. You're just a hockey player. And that's not how this should operate. You should also take into account the type of person the person is and everything they have done in their lives outside of hockey, inside of the organization. If you are going to employ them and give them money, they should also probably be a decent human being.
I wanted to say this too, because every organization talks about character. If Bill Peters had actually been a good head coach, which he never was, in the two teams he got to coach, he was never a good coach. Teams were always terrible under him.
No.
If he had been a good coach, what are the chances he's back in the NHL this season?
100%. Maybe not this season, or maybe not as a head coach, as assistant. Yeah. AHL maybe.
Because he stunk, and he was an asshole.
If you are good at your job within hockey, it trumps you being a giant dickbag.
There you go.
That's how it works.
Steve, from dickbags to goalies, what would you like to say about the Carolina goaltending situation?
So the Hurricanes signed 2 goalies who are good when they're healthy. That's good. That's a good place to start. Freddie Anderson hasn't been healthy and good both at the same time for 2 years. That's a problem. Antti Ranta, when healthy, is a good goalie. 2 of the past 3 seasons, he's played in 12 games. That's not enough. That's not enough, guys. He was a .905 this past season in 12 games. The season before,
analytical darling.
Oh, he's a great goalie. Like when he's on, man. 921 in 33 games the season before. Wicked. 906 in 12 games the season before. 930 and 47 games the year before. Holy shit, this guy's amazing. 922 and 29, 919 in 24. Like the numbers are 936 and 14. His numbers since 2014 are consistently very, very good. He has played more than 30 games in the NHL twice. It's just a huge risk. The Hurricanes need to be prepared for a situation where both guys are down.
Right. Because let's remind people who didn't watch Leaf games this year, of which there are many who listen to this show. What was Freddie Anderson this year, Steve?
What was he?
What was he? Where was he?
Injured, never playing.
What were his numbers like when he was playing?
Let me look it up. It might hurt my eyes though. Here,
let me put it to you this way.
I got to put on protective goggles here.
While Steve's looking that up, just to give you an idea.
He was an 895.
And how many wins?
13. He was 13-8-3 actually.
13-8-3. Okay. Oh, Jack Campbell was 17-3-2.
Wow. Holy shit.
Including an 11-game winning streak.
He was pretty good, eh?
He was pretty good. The defense was good too. But I just want to throw that out there is that, an 895 on a team that was really good defensively and won the division in what was called at the time, if you want to call it a weak division, although somebody from that division made the finals.
You could have just had Nedeljkovic.
Well, so here's the thing. So Mrazek signs for what? 3.8?
3.8, yes.
And what does Nedeljkovic sign for?
I think it was 2 times 3 in Detroit.
Okay. So
can I read you the Ben Pope tweet?
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's Anderson for 4.5 and Ranta for $2 million, so 6.5 total.
Sure.
Nedeljkovic signed in Detroit for 3, Mrazek in Toronto for 3.8, so 6.8 total.
Almost
they saved $0.3 million.
Or they could, you could have had Nedeljkovic and Ranta.
Yeah,
there are fewer question marks with that tandem than there are with Anderson. There is definitely a scenario where this kicks ass for them. It's a lot of ifs. How's Rod Brindamore can do a lot. Maybe he can make an asshole not one. We'll see. But can he make an injury-prone goalie tandem not injury-prone?
In their 30s, by the way. They're 31 and 32 years old.
Oh, imagine being that old.
Wow. 33.
Imagine.
Yeah, but
it's real risky.
We don't drop to our knees 100 times a day to save a puck, right? That wears on your body.
Yes. Sorry, there was a tweet 3 minutes ago from Elliot Friedman, and it's about the Leafs. So everyone shut up. We're talking about it.
What do we got?
Toronto has indicated it is protecting its remaining cap space, approximately $3.5 million. So obviously they're allocating it differently than cap friendly is right now. For a forward, likely a winger for the top 6. Could be someone remaining in free agency or from another team needing cap relief. We will see where this goes. Stay tuned.
Interesting. Okay.
Stay tuned during the show there, Freege. That'd be pretty good.
Maybe shoot him a text and be like, hey, is this going to happen during the show? How long do we need to keep going?
I'm literally doing that right now.
Tyler Bertuzzi's name keeps coming up. It'd be great to maybe something like that. I don't know. Because he's not signed yet. Also, I think the Ethan Bear trade was interesting too for them. I know he's not people seem to be split on Ethan Bear. Either they say he's got huge potential or he's okay and he's going to be okay. And I don't know where to stand on Ethan Bear, to be frank with you. But it seems like a pretty good bet. Warren Fogle, who they gave up, pretty useful forward and a good pickup for Edmonton.
Really good in the playoffs a few years ago. Edmonton's path forward seems clear. They want to get bigger and meaner. And,
right. So, do you want to go to Edmonton now?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about Warren Fogle.
Seemed like somebody who is a decent player, but just didn't fit in Ken Holland's current plans. Mm-hmm. It seemed like a good value add for the Hurricanes, and it was the only kind of addition that I looked at, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense that they made all day.
It was a good ad, and Warren Fogle was a good ad for Edmonton. But here's one I want to throw at you. Gabe Landeskog never made it to market. It was $7 million, right?
Oh, I love talking producer Drew through this.
Yeah.
So much.
And then And then, Philip Grubauer, who did make it to market, $5.9 million a season. Now, we know, and this is unfair to Edmonton, but it's the truth. We know that places like Edmonton and Winnipeg do struggle with attracting free agents.
It's true.
You know that. That is the truth.
It's true.
But remember that Edmonton has Connor McDavid. So that's attractive. Zach Hyman sure didn't have a problem signing there.
No.
But here's how you could have had a Grubauer-like contract. You could have tried to get Dougie Hamilton. You could have tried, if Jersey spends $9 million on Hamilton and Edmonton spends $10 million on, here's what Edmonton spent $20 million in cap space on this offseason so far. Duncan Keith, Zach Hyman, Tyson Barrie, Mike Smith, Cody Ceci. If you erased all of those names and just took a Dougie Hamilton, maybe he's not interested, I don't know. Or you took who else signed today that, got big money?
Tucker Pullman.
Tucker Pullman.
Right. Hamilton, he's also played in Calgary, right? So he knows what it's like to play in Western Canada and down the road. So he might have had an experience that he didn't want to go back.
Was bad.
One that he would.
He didn't like it.
See, the Flames stuck it to the Oilers.
in terms of just living there and playing in the city, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, I'm guessing he had a preference.
But all the same, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're not seeing something.
What am I not seeing?
Oilers are trying to dump Mikko Koskinen, and I have a great target.
Buffalo.
The team with literally no goalies. Buffalo said, I was talking to Dwayne today, and it was so good. He's like, bro, because my discovery, I've never seen this before. Literally never seen this before. The Buffalo Sabres cap-friendly page does not have a section for goalies because they have none. They have two reserve goalies. Was it Pekka Luukkonen? And also Dustin Tokarski. And so he's texting me. He's like, man, our goalies right now are Tokarski and Michael Hauser. Where I had to inform him, actually, Michael Hauser is a free agent. They don't have a goalie. We already know they're willing to take on a player who's a reclamation project with a sweetener. They did that with Will Butcher and the New Jersey Devils. If I'm the Oilers, I go, what's it going to take? Hey, I got that second round pick I never gave Kyle. Here's Mikko Koskinen and this, and you don't need to give me anything back. Thank you very much. And I go out and I get a much better goalie, and we have a Merry Christmas.
Well, it's a big question mark, right?
It is. It's certainly
and it's also sort of a big question mark about what Edmonton is actually doing. Mm-hmm. You'll go to 3.25 on Cody Ceci, who had a good year in Pittsburgh, but I'm still a little sus on. Because for years in Ottawa and then a year in Toronto, he wasn't good.
Also, the 4 years for
4 years on Cody Ceci. Yeah,
that's a lot to ask him to maintain that 3.25 value for 4
I thought
years.
it was 3.
No, it's 4 years. I'm looking at
4
right
years.
now.
Barry was 2 years at 4.5.
That's a lot for a guy who has had one good year, one half season in Pittsburgh. That was really good.
They needed a right-hand shot. Something
they had one,
but they traded Bear. I don't think CC is. Here's how hockey men view him. All right, so this is why the decision was made. They know what Barry is. They're not dumb. They got to see him. He can score, cannot defend. Hockey people around the NHL view CC as a defensive specialist. They do. They see his numbers where he's getting caved in. And they're like, well, that's because he's only thrust into defensive situations. And I'm just telling you, I never played in the NHL. I never played in House League. But from my novice eye, no, the numbers were right, man. The defense isn't very good. And this is what I said earlier. Like you can have specialists. You can have a specialist like Barry. To have both. What about the 2019-20 Leafs defense made you go, give me that. Now they got 2/3 of that team's right side.
The two parts that were the worst parts.
Yeah.
Bro, what are you doing? I don't understand that. I do think there are parts of that team that were improved. Hyman's going to make them better. But
Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun to watch, by the way. Draisaitl, Hyman, McDavid. That'll be a terrifying line.
Yes. Yeah. And like, the Oilers, they need a few stops, obviously, but they're a little bit of pushback away from just being unstoppable. You can't stop Connor McDavid. You can't. Unless you break the rules.
My thing is this. There's a couple problems I have here. They were close on Adam Larson, and then he signed with, I think it was the Kraken for the same amount that the Oilers offered him. If I knew that Adam Larson was going to walk to the Kraken and that he didn't feel quite comfortable in Edmonton, I would try to figure out how to keep him and offer him $500,000 more, because who cares? I would take Adam Larson at 4.5 over Cody Ceci at 3.125. No question, of over 4 years. And I think everybody else would too. And so they you lose Larson, who is actually put it together in Edmonton. And you have to bring in Cody Ceci, who, as Jesse rightly pointed out, had one good half season.
He was surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good for one good half season.
Yeah, we can't knock his play in Pittsburgh. He played in the correct role in their lineup, and it worked out for $1.2 million, I think he was making last year.
And the Oilers just trade Ethan Bear. And it's not that Warren Fogel's not a value play, but when I read you the quote about why they traded Ethan Bear, I think you'll find this interesting. Because Ethan Bear is a right shot defenseman, is he not?
I believe so.
According to Oilers Nation, quote,
"Oh yeah,
he wanted to come join us here in Edmonton." This is Holland on CC. He played very well in Pittsburgh this year, 27 years of age, and so we made the deal. Once we made the decision to sign Cody and re-sign Barry, I didn't want to go with 4 right shot defensemen. So that was the reasoning. Now, if Ethan Bear is a 5'6" guy and right shot defensemen are pretty valuable, seems like an odd thing to do. Why not just keep them?
Okay, you got to pay a premium for right-hand shot defensemen, but you're also forgetting you got to pay a premium for guys who are over 6 feet tall, which Warren Fogle is. He's 6'2", which Jesse calls small, but the rest of us,
still shorter than me,
call very tall. All right, I don't know. I disagree with their moves.
Now, are the Oilers going to make the playoffs? Yeah, for sure. For sure.
They don't even need to be good, to make the playoffs. They really don't.
No, it's not a great division.
No.
No, that's not even what I meant. They can coast their way to regular season success. McDavid and Draisaitl are that good. And Hyman's going to make them better.
The thing that people are like, oh, I hope you go in on the Oilers. The thing I'm waiting for, because we've gone in on the Duncan Keith thing. We've gone the Tyson Barrie thing. He seems to have found a home there. They seem to like it, whatever. Cody Ceci, my thoughts. The one thing I'm going to hold judgment for is I'm waiting for them to figure out their goaltending. Who is playing goal for you other than Mike Smith?
They're obviously during the show, they lost a bidding war to Colorado. So
for Darcy Kemper.
Yeah, to me, incomplete project. They're not going into the season with Mikko Koskinen. They're not.
And they're going to give them away, and that's going to free up $4.5 million. That seems like such an easy move by Ken Holland. You do the future considerations. Maybe you throw in the draft pick, whatever. You get something back. It's just funny. But the $4.5 million in cap space is what you want. And that's going to be able to get you a decent goalie.
Yep.
It can be done.
Yeah. It can be done.
Because Alex Stalock's not your backup right now. It's not Stalock and Smith. You're not walking to the regular season with that.
Listen. We said last year they can't go into the season with Koskinen and Smith, and they did. Smith played well.
And it worked.
Yeah. It worked. Till the first round, but it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do want to talk about the Flames, too, if we're talking about Western Canada. That Blake Coleman signing. Oof. That is a lot of money for Blake Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
I love Blake Coleman. I'm Blake Coleman's number one fan. Certainly glad that the Leafs did not pay that kind of money for Blake Coleman.
What? Okay, this is the problem every free agency is we all look at we look at 90% of deals and we go, that's too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's unrestricted free agency though.
Sure.
So to me, I look at it from the fun perspective of, okay, are we better?
Well, and it seems like they're going through a culture shift in Calgary. Tkachuk is still unsigned. I think they're talking about signing Gaudreau because now his no trade clause is kicked in. So I think there's 8 teams that he can be traded to or less. It's not much. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. But with Blake Coleman, they're undoubtedly better. And I think, and they talked a lot about Sutter and Coleman, and that Coleman was a Sutter kind of player. And that Coleman then in the press conference, according to our friend Haley Salvian, said, yeah, he's my kind of coach. So, and by the way, the person apparently who had the most trouble when Sutter took over was Tkachuk.
Surprising.
You would think that he would be a Sutter guy. So I'm curious to see what happens in Calgary, because clearly they have the talent. No one's questioning that. We are questioning why they continue to underperform.
With Tkachuk, I wonder if we're confusing gritty and hardworking with good defensively.
I don't know that he is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Sutter values that more than grit, even. But Coleman, I think, is a good culture change. And boy, I talked about the market inefficiency years ago with Tom Wilson. Look at who's getting paid. Mm-hmm. Look at who's getting all the. Barclay Goodrow gets nearly $4 million for 6 years. Blake Coleman gets nearly $5 million for 6 years. Zach Hyman gets an identical contract to Josh Anderson. And Josh Anderson got that contract, by the way, $5.5 million per for 7 years. Elliot Friedman recently talked about, who was it? Nicolas Deslauriers potentially being a first-round pick in a trade. Teams want big, mean, hardworking players. Mm-hmm. And that's what all of those guys are. So if you look at Blake Coleman's numbers or whatever, and you go, yeah, okay, he's a great player, but that much? Yes, that much. Because those players are hard to find. Really hard to find.
Who's left to play in goal for Calgary? Because they have Markstrom and then nothing.
Yeah.
Let me check on that. Man,
can we rent you a gently used Mikko Koskinen?
Oh no,
they do make trades with each other. Weirdly,
yeah, but
a lot of trades.
Markstrom makes $6 million, so you're gonna tie up 10.5 in your goalie situation. Who are you, Montreal?
Okay. So, no, you know what? Today they traded for Dan Vladar from the Boston Bruins.
Oh, okay.
So he's decent.
He's gonna be their backup,
or at very least, he's got some games. He could be their backup. I do know they're high on this prospect, Dustin Wolf. I don't know if he's ready yet. And Tyler Parsons is also in their system. He's an RFA. And Adam Werner, I know, played some games for the Colorado Avalanche. So they have some options, but they are kind of
you better hope
leap of faith options. You know?
Better hope Markstrom stays healthy.
Yeah.
Yes, but they're paying Markstrom starter money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not every situation is Carey Price.
Mm-hmm. I think Calgary's got the talent. I'm just curious to see if this quote unquote culture changes anything, because they undoubtedly have underperformed like the last 3 years, and nobody seems to be able to figure it out.
They're better than this.
They're way better than this.
Yeah, I'm comfortable saying they're better than this.
And Tanev and Markstrom are like the heart and soul of the Canucks run in the second round a couple of seasons ago, or a season and a half ago, or whatever it was now. I don't even know. Time doesn't make sense anymore.
Markstrom dragged that team, and then Demko just played. He decided, okay, I'm going to play the best 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, on Vancouver, they did buy out Braden Holtby, which a Vancouver fan decided to tell me that I said the Braden Holtby contract was risky when they signed it. And I said, Jim, put the phone down. As I say, every free agency, Jim, put the phone down. And somebody's tried to tell me that, how is the Holtby contract risky? They just bought him out. It's like, you answered your own question. People will debate you on anything, just so you know. But they did bring in Jarro Halak. Now, it's a $1.5 million deal. He played well in Boston last year and has for a while. And I guess it's bonus and incentive laden. So, if he plays a certain amount of games, wins, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry. I'm stuck on how is that risky.
I know, man. I know.
Well, how are the Leafs losers?
They only lost
all the time. But how? No, I want you to explain. Sorry, that is hilarious.
Right. I know. But so you've got Luke Shen, Tucker Poolman, Jarro Halak, and obviously Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Connor Garland coming in before that. You don't hate the Canucks roster at all.
No.
But
it was a lot of redoing of or undoing of the stuff that Ken Holland did last year. Or sorry, not Ken Holland. Jim Benning did last year. It was last year you re-signed Virtanen, you signed Holtby, and you trade for Schmidt. And then this offseason, you buy out Virtanen, you buy out Holtby, and you trade away Schmidt. Like that's from McEnroe. It's literally the reverse of the deals.
Beagle and Roussel and Louis Eriksson also traded away, which were Jim Benning moves.
Right. And then you bring in OEL, who you've been trying to hunt down for like 5 years. And I don't have confidence that Vancouver is going to go out there and be a good team.
Very few GMs get the chance to clean up their own mess. And Benning's been there forever. He's been 7 years for a team that's done as little as the Canucks have done over those 7 years. It's wild. Like I would, as a Leafs fan, I'd rent a helicopter to the tallest mountain I could find to scream "Fire Kyle Dubas" if we were 7 years from now and still in this position. You know what I mean? Or 4 years, 5 years, whatever, however much rope he's got. Yeah, I don't get it, but they got the parts. They got some really nice parts. The Canucks, that teams they give me anxiety. The Vancouver Canucks give me anxiety, man, because they shouldn't be bad. They shouldn't.
Right. But to me, it just looks like this rotating cast of guys who are just in and out constantly. And there's no consistency with this team. And none of it is ever put together and works.
Well, and then let's add this to this iron to the fire. The projected cap space for the Canucks is back down to $14 million. 2 players remain unsigned that are of note, maybe 3 if you want to include Olli Juolevi. Also, I guess Jason Dickinson is not signed. Elias Pettersson is not re-signed. Olli Juolevi not re-signed. Quinn Hughes not re-signed.
Why would you not take care of those deals, the Hughes deal and the Pettersson deal, and then if you want to throw in the Juolevi deal, and then work towards your offseason?
Because you're trying to back them. You're trying to say, listen, this is all I got. This is the best I can do. Right? But that's assuming there's a plan, right? So that's how most GMs do it. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. That's assuming there's a plan. Because last year we thought, maybe there's some 3D chess shit going on with Tyler Toffoli. No, they just sort of didn't get him.
They didn't
offer him anything.
They just sort of
ran out of time.
At least with Dubas, we know that his plan is I got these guys and I'm going to try and figure it out with this little thing I got going on here. And we'll work these contracts around there. With Jim Benning, it just seems like there's just a mess here. And he's got a bunch of puzzle pieces and none of them ever fit together. And he keeps trying to make this puzzle with these puzzle pieces that don't fit. He's like, I'll get some new pieces. And I'm like, no, it's a different puzzle. Buy a new box.
It is the responsible thing to do when you've been working on something for a long time to call a pal and have them look over it and go, I need some fresh eyes on this. Mm-hmm. That's what I think the Canucks need.
Yeah.
You just need fresh eyes on this. I'm not talking completely change the plan and everything. Like I saw the way the Canucks were shedding cap space and I'm like, look at these guys go. They're doing some good things. They filled it with Tucker Pullman and Travis Hamonic. And I went, oh, okay. All right. I was doing less the right thing to do today. Like I talked about like how disappointed I was with the Leafs offseason. Some teams got better, but I looked at most of the contracts and I went, that sucks. Even one of the 2 of the ones that the Leafs signed, I was like, Jesus, that's a lot. Mrazek and a guy, David Kampf has played 235 NHL games. And today was the first time I'd heard his name. I cover hockey for a living. I'd never heard his name. I didn't know he existed. 235 games. I had no idea. I've never had a casual conversation about, oh man, this David Kampf. No one's ever brought him up. I've never been tweeted about David Kampf. I didn't know he existed until today. And he got $3 million. Like, it's free agency. It's when everyone loses their mind. This is one of the wildest weeks in like NHL history in my career.
Yep.
Certainly.
Mm-hmm.
To pack an expansion draft, the circumstances surrounding the draft. There's the way the first round ended. There's the fact that it was digital. There's the fact that half of the draft class barely played at all. And then there was today.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Jack Eichel hasn't been traded yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Elliot Friedman is like holding a gun to the show right now, going, the Leafs might do something at some point. By the way, he wouldn't. He gave me a non-answer.
Of course he did.
Can you tell us?
It could be anything. Thanks, Freach.
That's so Freach.
I also have to ask, what's this $3.5 million really get them? Based on today's market, is that anything significant?
It's going to get them a star forward, 2 more starting goaltenders, an elite defenseman, and everything else, and a couple sombreros.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's according to the capologist.
Listen, I'm into it. Jesse, I like your capologist.
Like,
yeah, anyway, moving with the Canucks, I just man, there's just some stuff where you go, I'm still not understanding where this is going. And with this particular team, what exactly compels Hughes and Pettersson to say, well, shit, I better sign because I got to be a part of this?
Nothing. I look at today and I go, I'm getting paid.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Now, is this, so people are going to be able to, months from now, they're going to be able to pull clips from this show. And they're going to be like, these guys didn't like anything. They said everybody made too much.
We didn't, though.
No, the Dougie Hamilton deal is very good.
We're going to get radioed for sure. I get it.
The Devils are going to be awesome next season.
Yeah, okay, here's I guess the question. Is this simply the cost of business?
In UFA, sure. You're going to overpay. We know that.
But UFA,
you have the option to sit out these deals and not buy into UFA and get money.
But if you gotta nail the draft and also somehow buy at the deadline, but never give up picks or valuable prospects. I think today is when you overpay. You overpay because you didn't have to give up any assets.
I get that, Steve. But did any of these assets? I actually think Euro Halak was a good pickup. Solid.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
I think it's a good one. But you brought in Shen, you have Hamonic and Myers. Did you need Tucker Poolman at 2.5? And it's the little deals that knock the salary cap down and hold you up when you have to make a trade at the trade deadline to push yourself over the edge. Like, did you have to do that? Is that something? Is that a deal that you're like, man, I need to make this. I need to sign this player.
I think they're looking at it like OEL is sort of our all-purpose guy. Mm-hmm. Quinn Hughes is our offense guy, and Tucker Poolman is our grunt.
Okay.
Because big boy is big.
Okay, so let's move on a little bit here. Philip Deneau lands in LA. It's believed, and according to Eric Engels, I believe he was talking about it on Sportsnet today. Our boy Eric Engels, we love Eric. Got to have him back on. It's believed that the pressure of playing in Montreal may have pushed him out a little bit. I would expect too that he felt a little bit like in the contract process that they didn't really value him in the same way. All reports are it's a pretty good value deal for Los Angeles, who are quietly making some pretty good moves. They're going to be an interesting team. Mike Hoffman did sign in Montreal today, $4.5 million each year for 3 years. Not a bad deal, perennial 25, 30 goal scorer. The problem in Montreal seems to be, where's the centers?
Yeah, Hoffman's basically Tatar's replacement. He's not great defensively, but he can score. And every year he's going to score. I just described Thomas Tatar, but it's Mike Hoffman. Up the middle, I think they're going to
Suzuki Kotkaniemi. But you wouldn't dress Kotkaniemi in the finals.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, man, because he was pretty good. But I guess they're going, all right, well, now it's your turn.
Okay.
They're going, now it's your turn.
Maybe Bergevin Billy Beaned his coach and said, listen, I'm going to trade everyone away until you start the only player available at that position. Remember what Billy Bean did with
I remember. No, but No, I think that was baseball, and baseball's a generally smart sport, and you're trying to apply it to hockey, and that doesn't work.
Pump the brakes on that for a second. But anyway.
Egghead sport, I should say. Egghead sport. Maybe perhaps not smart. There is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
No, I what's the point of having these good young players if you're not going to eventually let them go? Hey, it's your turn. Hey, are you hungry? You pissed off? Did we scratch you? Go kick ass.
Yep. Shea Weber could be done. David Savard is supposed to come in and bridge that gap a little bit. He's not going to be Shea Weber, but it meant a lot to him to go to Montreal, which I think is a cool story.
It's a very cool story, and an even cooler story would be Shea Weber coming back for the playoffs if he's able to, for a right side of Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, David Savard.
That's ugly.
You could do worse.
Montreal's got to make the playoffs first, though.
There is that.
Yeah. And, obviously the questions about, and I have this here, questions remain for the Avs in goal. Obviously, Grubauer signs for 6 years, $5.9 million in Seattle. And then I asked, who's left for them. Obviously, they got Darcy Kemper for a first-round pick. But it does raise some questions about Seattle and asset management. So let me just remind you that an extra protection slot for the expansion draft would have cost you a first and a third. But in Seattle signing who they signed with Philip Grubauer, they then traded Vitek Vanacek right back to the Washington Capitals, which they're allowed to do because they're not retaining salary. A lot of people asked about that.
Right.
And they got a second-round pick in return. So a protection spot cost you a first and a third. But just getting the player back in a trade costs you a second.
It's almost like their price for goalies was a second, because that was the thing with Jake Allen as well. I don't know. But did you see?
Why not just hold on to him?
What? Or
because there are Stanley Cup contenders at the time that trade went through, Stephen. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
The Colorado trade had not happened. There are teams like Edmonton, who we just mentioned. There are other teams I'm not even thinking about right now who are looking for great young goaltending. And the second, really? You wouldn't call you're just going to give him back to the Capitals. I am not certain. Listen, the Kraken are going into a garbage division. It's just atrocious. But that doesn't make them good. They might make the playoffs, but I'm not convinced this is as well run as people think it is. And they've stockpiled zero assets except for the second round pick.
Can I tell you what this smacks of?
Tell me.
Because hockey can be like this sometimes, and Ron Francis, good hockey man, he didn't want to screw the Capitals. There was an opportunity to really screw them here. Mm-hmm. We're going to take this guy and we're going to flip him somewhere else. They basically went, listen, we don't need this guy anymore. If we go into the season with him, we're just going to lose him to waivers, right? So instead of screwing the Capitals, you call him back and you go, listen, you can have your guy back for a second. How does that sound? And they go, okay.
I think you nailed it. Like that's a crazy thing. Like you're pulling that out of nothing, and I think it's right.
I'm pulling it out of like and there is a method there. Like you need friends. I don't think the Vegas Golden Knights are popular, like as an organization.
Well, we'll get to that.
I don't think they're popular for a variety of reasons, but teams are very clearly still bitter towards the Vegas Golden Knights, and Ron Francis is going, look, I'm not a bad guy. The rules were we had to take somebody. So tell you what, let's let bygones be bygones. You give us a second round pick. It's not even a guy off your roster. We'll give him back. There you go. We're your pal. And other teams go, hey, listen, I'm just being the good guy here. I'm just giving them back their old guy. That's what happened. The wild one was the Kraken took Mason Appleton from the Winnipeg Jets. They could have taken Brendan Dillon and traded him for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Which is the Jets paid 2 seconds for him to the Capitals.
The Seattle Kraken have been a team for a 1 week now. We've had their roster. I think it's safe to say that if you could do a redo, you could build a better roster than what the Seattle Kraken currently have. I don't like I don't know, 30% of their moves. There's like there's a quarter of them that are just like, you could have done this a little better. There's more talent out there that was just there for you to pick. And the deals that other teams got in exchange for guys that you could have had are more substantial than what you have now.
I want to play a game.
Uh-huh.
Jesse, you'll go first. Adam, you go second.
Okay.
Jesse, who did the Kraken take from the Columbus Blue Jackets?
It wasn't Max Domi. They took some other guy. I forget his name.
And they gave him back.
Yeah.
They gave him back. Bluthmir.
Yeah. It was
whatever the hell his name was.
Bayreuther, right?
Gavin Bayreuther.
Yeah, Gavin Bayreuther.
They took him from Columbus and just let him go.
Just fucking giving you this guy. I told you.
John Glenville, who I'm married to forever because I called that pick.
Yeah,
I broke it. As far as I know, like the same thing might happen there. The guy doesn't have a deal. So like, is that Francis? Like, okay, you know how Dubas just said, you know what, rather than give up Hyman for less than a second, I'm just letting him go. Is this Francis going, you know what? I didn't get the deal I liked in Columbus or in Chicago, so we're just wiping it.
I think it's Ron Francis doing not the best at his job in that move. Like, you could have had, even if you don't want Max Domi, take him, sell him later. Like,
give him up for nothing, dude. You got something for who was it? Curtis McDermott, and Tyler Pitlick.
I think the Max Domi contract would have prevented them from moving him.
Take somebody else. Take somebody else.
Gavin Bayreuther. Like,
Max Domi might be a bad example, but take somebody else. You don't lose for no assets. You have the ability to just take 30 guys for free that could then turn into something and build a great roster.
Take somebody, and I think they've done in the minors,
right?
Whatever.
They haven't done a great job with it over the last 7 days.
And if the market for right shot defensemen was that hot, that tweet about Brendan Dillon's right. They should have just taken 30 right shot defensemen. And
flip them.
I don't. So here's the thing. It's tough to judge the Seattle Kraken in the sense that I don't know what their goal was, but I'm judging them because I don't know what their goal is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, when you're like, what the Leafs' goal is. They failed in that goal consistently.
They have a win now mode. Seattle is just, we don't know.
At least we knew with the Leafs what the plan was. With Pittsburgh, what the plan is. Surround Crosby and Malgin until the legs fall off, right? Literally. With Boston, it's beat everybody's face in and everybody will sign at a discount. It'll be great. And Tampa, what the goal is. What the goal is. With the Kraken, I'm not sure we got all this cap space. Look at us. Good. Options are great to have. So what?
Part of me wonders if they're looking at Vegas's fortunes and they're going, okay, this is probably not going to happen again. Their success is probably not going to happen again. And I looked at some of the guys they picked and I'm like, you're just flipping them. You're just getting rid of them at the deadline. You're not even going to hang on to this guy. And I wonder if they're just sort of making peace with the fact that odds are they aren't making the Stanley Cup final. I'm not saying they're not trying. They're obviously not trying, but
they're obviously not trying.
Here's the thing with Vegas. Because of their early success, they got all this shit and then they tripped over themselves to give it right back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a first, second, and a third for Thomas Tatar. Oh my God. The guys at Winged Wheel, I think it was Ryan Hanna, told me the first, second, and third they got. The first was Joe Velino, who's a good prospect for the Red Wings. The second was, I think, Master Simone, who's another prospect for them. And the third, they traded for Nedeljkovic.
Wow.
That's for Thomas Tatar as a rental.
Who can't get a deal now.
Who can't get a deal now and couldn't get into the lineup for Vegas, by the way. So they could. We look at everything Vegas got as if they kept it. They didn't. Right? So I wonder if Seattle is going to try to do what we thought Vegas was going to try to do, and that slowly build and accumulate assets over time. And they do how they do. They might be fine. Might be garbage. Might be great.
And we'll have a clearer picture on what they actually are when the team is on the ice and we see this combination of guys perform.
I don't think anyone spent more than them today.
Yeah. On paper, you look at it and you say there are better assets out there that could have been.
Well, and are you maximizing the opportunities that you have?
Yeah.
That's my question. It's not whether or not the team's going to make the playoffs or they're good or if Grubauer was a good signing or not. It's, are you maximizing your opportunities here? I don't think that they did with the extra protection slots. I think they priced that too high and they should have come down and got a couple of teams across the line to give them assets. They should have done that. And now, they do have that cap space and that is tremendous leverage. Make no mistake. But are the Seattle Kraken in their first season going to be a cap dump team where bad contracts go to die for a couple of years? I don't think that's what they're planning. So it's
also there are two teams that are better at it.
Yeah,
if their goal is to build the Arizona Coyotes, like take away their franchise. Like, what are you doing here?
I don't think they're going to do that, but I think they're thinking, well, you could weaponize that cap space, get yourself a couple first round picks, something like that. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that because they got Alexiak signed, they got Giordano, they got Grubauer, they got but there were better forwards available than the ones they selected.
Also, they were able to spend money in a way other teams weren't today. Mm-hmm. And part of me wonders if, because I said this, Ron Francis is going to starve the market, right? And everyone spent all this friggin' money in free agency. I wonder if the Kraken drove the price up on a bunch of guys. Listen, I have this offer from a team of $30 million for the cap space, right? So they drive the price up. And now, again, July 28th, it's past dinner time. Maybe you're not sweating yet. What about tomorrow? What about the day after? There are going to be teams sweating, and they're going to call old Daddy Ron. And I think he's going to get something. Seattle is going to continue accumulating assets over the summer. Right? They're not done. They're trying to slow burn, I think. But some of their moves are indefensible. And drafting someone, getting a free guy and losing them for nothing is indefensible.
That doesn't make sense.
No.
I don't get it. Guys, this summer's been crazy. Concerts are back. Major championships back. Baseball, Euros, and of course the games. Bronze, silver, gold. You can't get a gold medal if you don't treat yourself like a gold medal. If an athlete treats their body like royalty, why can't you treat your area like it needs to be cleaned up and perfected? Do you know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is you need the new performance package from Manscaped for below the waist grooming. Now, as the world starts to open up, you need to clean up. And this is amazing. If you use the code DANGLE, manscaped.com, not only you get 20% off and free shipping, but you also get something like this, the Weed Whacker. Now, the Weed Whacker is for outside of this area and more for this area. We're talking about your ears and your nose because you can't be going on dates and out to public functions and meeting people's parents with nose hairs hanging out of your nose, right? So that's what you need to do. Now, go to manscaped.com, use that code DANGLE, 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE at manscaped.com. Achieve glory. Achieve a gold medal for that area. Clean it up. Sports are about more than stats and scores. They're about people and stories. The Lead is a daily sports podcast from Wondery and The Athletic that dives into the biggest sports stories of the day, as told by one of The Athletic's reporters who is covering that story up close. The next few weeks, The Lead is turning its attention for the race for gold in Japan. They'll be covering stories like the 17-year-old who broke a Usain Bolt record, and at the games, who is and isn't a woman, what life is like as a trans athlete. Every day, The Lead goes beyond last night's scores to bring you the most interesting stories that take place at the intersection of sports and culture, all in about 15 minutes. It's one of the most important podcasts and one of the great storytelling podcasts that you can find, especially for sports. So check out The Lead where you get your podcasts or subscribe to theathletic.com. And let's talk about the Vegas Golden Knights, who, and I can't believe I get to say this, made a charitable donation to the Chicago Blackhawks of a Vezina goalie, the face of the franchise, the first guy to ever put on the jersey, And the guy who, in Pittsburgh, beloved. You could build a statue for Marc-André Fleury in both Vegas and Pittsburgh.
In two cities, both sides of the country.
Absolutely adored there and frankly played well. And gave him up for nothing. For nothing. Now, they did get to sign Alec Martinez because of that. And as much as I dislike the situation that has occurred with the Blackhawks and what's continuing to happen, Stan Bowman has made some pretty big moves. You got a Vezina goalie for nothing. You got Seth Jones. It's not bad. And you were able to dump Duncan Keith's cap hit, and they paid you. Now, yeah, I know. Listen, we keep saying this. Stop helping the Blackhawks. But I got to ask with Vegas, there are rumors already circulating about the fact that this team has trouble, this management group specifically, not the players, that this management group has problems with the truth. As in, they play it fast and loose. And, you could chalk that up to cold, hard calculation. And I get that sometimes, GMs will come on and be like, we're not considering a trade, and then they'll trade. But when you lie directly to the players and you mistreat the players, especially a guy like Marc-André Fleury, who was universally loved, that shit gets around. And you look at what happened with Nate Schmidt. So I'm looking at Nate Schmidt, I'm looking at Marc-André Fleury. And I wonder in Vegas, and Berkey said this last year, and people kind of were like, Berkey. They're starting to get a reputation like, yeah, it's fun to play here, but you're going to be here a max like 18 to 24 months. And there's already things about Max Pacioretty floating around out there.
Let me read you something pointed out by Down Goes Brown. So this is Jesse Granger with the quote, who covers the Golden Knights for The Athletic. Foley, the owner, Foley on Fleury potentially being traded in offseason. There were just discussions. The trades that were thrown around out there didn't make any sense to us. He never came close to being part of a deal. I would have had a big problem with it if it had been presented to me. He hasn't said anything too bad so far because reality changes, right? Mm-hmm. Foley also said, this is the next tweet from Jesse Granger, Foley also said he told Fleury and his wife in an elevator at T-Mobile Arena that he would retire a Golden Knight. I said, this is where you're going to be. You're going to get to love Vegas, and Vegas is going to love you. I feel like I made a commitment to him at that point. And where'd that go? That was February of this past year. No, of this year, sorry. The year that we're in, 2021. What happened? I know I've argued for a long time that having both Fleury and Leonard doesn't really make sense.
Financially, it's expensive.
And I know
but Montreal's doing it.
Exactly. This didn't completely come out of the blue because he knew there were trade discussions ongoing. We do know that. He found out about this over Twitter. And the Golden Knights wear that. And the Blackhawks wear that as well. With their cute little eyeball emojis tweet. Didn't send any eyeball emojis to Marc-André Fleury. This guy didn't know. This is the greatest and most beloved player in Vegas Golden Knights franchise history, which sounds ridiculous because they've only been around for 4 years, but it is the truth. And you shafted him. Shafted him so bad, and he doesn't want to play anywhere else so bad that he's considering leaving $6 million on the table to not play for the Chicago Blackhawks. Mm-hmm. People forget that. He might just not go.
Yep. And I mean, given what we know about the Blackhawks organization, can you blame them?
I mean, they have a ton of turnaround too.
They do. Well, I mean, yeah. But no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the culture.
Oh, no, I know.
You know?
I know.
And this is the thing.
Where do you begin with them?
I think George McPhee is still there, right? He's the president?
I think he's the president now, and Kelly McCrimmon
is the
GM.
At a certain point, these guys are going to have to start, and just, Steve, you mentioned it, around the league, they're not a popular front office to deal with. Yes, they've been extremely successful. And oftentimes when you're successful, it doesn't make you very popular. I get that.
Fair.
But this, in a nutshell, is what we've been hearing for a while. It's that Marc-André Fleury found out he was traded over Twitter. That is a problem. That's an organizational problem. You make the call before the trade call even goes in. Say, Mark, we've agreed to terms. Sorry, this is not how we wanted it to end. And maybe he goes, fuck you, and hangs up, which I don't think he would. But it's still a call you make before you even send in the thing to the league, because he deserves that. Right. It's shocking. It's such a blight on the Golden Knights organization, one that has been extremely successful. And if I am a player there and I've signed long-term, Pacioretty, Martinez, Pietrangelo, whatever, it's like, when's the next shiny toy going to come along and I'll be replaced? And I know that's how the NHL works, but we're acting like Marc-André Fleury is like done. The guy just won the Vezina.
Just won the Vezina. And he's got a year left on his deal. But beyond the fact, let's say he did know. Let's say he knew. Mm-hmm. And he was like, trade me. I don't want to be here anymore. It's too hot. Let's say that's what happened. The return wasn't great. How many of you had ever heard of Teemu Hartikainen before this trade?
I'm his number one fan. I started a Facebook page in his honor.
All right.
It was now, essentially future considerations.
Now, wait. How many people listening to the show right now realized it wasn't Teemu Hartikainen? It was Mikael Hakkarainen, and I was talking about someone else. How many of you bothered to remember the name of the guy that the reigning Vezina winner was just traded for?
Yeah.
Imagine being that guy. Colby Armstrong, like every trade deadline, talks about like the pressure of showing up at a locker room after getting traded for Marian Hossa.
Oh.
This dude just got traded 1-for-1 for Marc-André Fleury. How do you get nothing?
All right.
The Sabres don't have a goalie. They don't, like, literally do not have a goalie. There were teams looking for a goalie today. Now, I'm willing to bet they tried. I'm going to throw it out there that maybe they didn't try hard enough.
Or maybe nobody wants to deal with them anymore.
Or that.
When you're flipping the reigning Vezina Trophy winner for essentially future considerations. Cap space, I should say. When you're
which is valuable.
$7 million of cap space, you're giving them away for free. In a culture that's so incestuous like hockey, where everybody knows everybody and everybody talks, and it means, we just had the conversation, Steve, you brought up about Ron Francis doing business because he wants to be a good guy. When that's how hockey works amongst these GMs, and you're out there treating players like you can just swap them for nothing, like that's not going to be a good look for any guy who in the future wants to come to Vegas. Like, I don't understand how they can expect players to have confidence in their organization if that's how they're doing business. Nobody's going to want to play there.
And there will be people who respond to this and say, well, that's just the business. Okay.
It's also people and humans.
I think there's, yes, we have to move on from this player and we didn't expect to. And then there's fuck him, he'll find out on Twitter.
Right. And it's
there's a difference.
Consistent with Vegas, the way guys come in and they go out. And you don't want to go to a place where you feel like you in a couple of years or in a year, you're going to be gone. It's crazy that we're saying this about a franchise that's only 4 years old now, how much turnover they've had. And it's not a good look for the way to run a team.
And like people are, oh, it's a business. The choice to be awful about this was made.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing is
you didn't have to do that.
Right.
It's not about, you got to trade him. Well, he's not going to die. No, he's not going to die, stupid. Is that what it's about? It's about basic courtesy.
Jesse, you know what I love?
People with respect.
Jesse, can I tell you what I love?
What?
When Steve argues with Twitter about the tweets he's going to get in the future on this show. It's my favorite. Steve's going to check his mentions in the morning, and he's going to he's pre-arguing with somebody who hasn't sent that tweet yet.
That's
somebody will wake up
pre-arguing Twitter right now, Steve.
Okay, you know what, Steve? You seem like you need a vacation. All right, I'm worried about your mental state, Steve. It might have. Do you think it has something to do with the fact that I spend all day in the basement working on this shit and reading your stupid fucking tweets? And then I have no one to bounce it off of and no one to vent to. And then I join this show and have to talk about you talking about, oh, he's not going to die. He's going to make secret. Shut the fuck. I have no outlet except for this camera and microphone. And when I turn it on, I'm sorry when I go off. My wife doesn't want to hear this shit. She barely watches the games. So it's you. You get to hear it, all right? It'll be a great day when I get to go back in the office and I can rant about sports to people.
Steve, what do you get? You're never leaving that basement. You're not going back to the office.
You got the office before the pandemic.
Yeah, man. You were social distancing
several times a week.
You've been social distancing for a decade. Get out of here.
I would hang out with my friends, and they would murder my confidence by ripping on me the entire time.
Oh, you mean us?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm a little concerned you didn't pick up on Friends when I was talking about you assholes.
I thought you had some other guys
Right?
you were talking to. I was going to
I
say,
was
who
a
are
little
those?
concerned.
I didn't
All
know,
right.
I didn't know they existed.
Steve, you seem anxious and pressed. What the fuck? Sorry. The only people I have to bounce off of are the deepest, darkest corners of the internet. And weirdly, that's had an effect on my brain.
You now pre-argue Twitter. Oh.
I pre-argue Twitter. I pre-argue with some. I talk to some genuinely great people. People who are going to be
all the time,
friends for the rest of my life, and also people who should absolutely not have a driver's license. Like it's simply. Where were we even? What hockey team were we talking about?
Vegas.
It was Vegas.
On-
How did this come up?
On Friday, when we're done,
Fleury.
when we're done recording our show on Friday,
What?
I hope you throw your phone in the ocean, like you keep saying.
I'm going to crush a beer on my forehead and have s'mores all night.
But bring it back for Wednesday because we do have Rick Westhead coming on. That's important.
Fine.
Maybe.
We do need to keep the phone.
Nah, we'll see if you can find it.
Fine, but as soon as that show's done, I'm not coming back until I'm at least 260. Like I'm not coming back. No, listen, here. I did actually have something to say about that
Please.
before I argued with the stupidest person on the planet. So they made a decision to be dicks. They
Yes.
did,
Yes,
right?
they did.
And it's
Which
one
goes a
thing-
long way in hockey.
Right. It's one thing if an insider breaks this, right? If an insider finds out and then they tweet it and the team goes, oh shit. And they go to Marc-André and they go, listen,
So sorry.
we were just about to call you. Yeah. This shouldn't have got out. I'm going to give that guy shit. I'm going to find out who told him, I'm going to.
We haven't even sent the paperwork to the office yet. Like nothing's finalized.
The team he was being traded to is tweeting out cutesy emojis about the deal he didn't know about. How many did Stan call the Twitter person? I doubt it. How many levels of the Chicago Blackhawks, the team that Marc-André Fleury was not previously on, how many people knew about this trade before Marc-André Fleury did? Before it hit Twitter? And then how many people after? It's not smart. It's not a good way to do business. Oh, it is a business. Yeah, okay. Be an asshole forever and see where it gets you.
There's a difference between, and I'll sum this up. There's a difference between being cold and calculating.
Yeah.
And cold and cruel.
Yeah.
And so you would expect. Listen, you're like, you guys are saying Kyle Dubas needs to be. Here I am pre-arguing. You guys are saying Kyle Dubas needs to be cold and calculating, and I do think that. But I don't think Kyle Dubas would be like, well, let's just say it's Austin Matthews. Well, Austin, we're trading you, but we're gonna wait till you find out through an Instagram DM.
Right.
Fuck off. That's not how he would operate, right?
You're not going to please everyone. Every now and then you're going to do someone dirty. You're going to sewer a guy, he's going to think I deserved an opportunity and you didn't give it to him. And he's going to, yell about you forever. The mistakes are going to be made. This not only did not need to happen. Like, let's say they traded, pick a name. They traded Nick Holden. Okay. Right. So not
Which
the most.
Did.
Yes, they did. So not the most important player on the Vegas Golden Knights. It would be wrong for him to find out on Twitter. This is the Dave Keon of the Vegas Golden Knights, right? They don't have the long history. All they have is the last 4 years. He's the most important player in franchise history. And he found out he was traded for nothing on Twitter. Mm-hmm. How is he supposed to feel? How are the other players in the league supposed to feel?
And that
Alan Walsh was right. Alan Walsh was right with the sword. He was right. He was just a year early. He jumped the gun. Okay. He hit send too early. Should have stayed in drafts for a year. And then he tweets it, and then he'd be absolutely right. He tweets the sword picture yesterday. Everyone goes, shit, eyeball emojis. That's good. Alan Walsh, absolutely. Or whoever made that picture for him. Remember that whole discussion?
Yeah.
But there's no situation where that's what should have happened.
Well,
and that's a failure for both teams.
And that DeBoer sword that Alan so eloquently put into Marc-André Fleury's back on Twitter, Pete DeBoer is another guy. Problem with the truth. And the management group that replaced Gerard Gallant with Pete DeBoer. Again, like Gerard Gallant took them to the Stanley Cup final. And 18 months later, he's gone. He's gone. And he's gone for the guy that the team fucking hated.
Yeah. Hey,
they hated DeBoer.
Free advice for anyone signing a contract with the Vegas Golden Knights: rent.
Yes. Enjoy your time there. It's not going to last.
No.
And I think the players know that. I can't imagine the players are thrilled about how that went. And even if you think, well, we had to move on from one of the goalies, man, not like that. It's how.
Good luck signing free agents in the future.
Yeah, moving on from one of them made perfect sense. The way they did it was atrocious.
Now, let's talk about the Boston Bruins, who at the trade deadline picked up Taylor Hall and now have picked up Nick Foligno. Now, Pete Blackburn dunked on the Leafs. Pete Blackburn dunked on the Leafs so hard because he was like, at the trade deadline, for the Leafs, it was Taylor Hall or Foligno. And for the Bruins this offseason, it's Taylor Hall and Foligno.
It's cruel and unusual. Like, he could have gone anywhere. Apparently,
the Leafs did want to retain him, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And he signed for...
What did he sign for?
Oh, no, it was 2 years, 3.8.
Per year?
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot.
It is...
the Leafs couldn't afford that.
If he's healthy... There it is. The Bruins, everyone takes less. It's a great organization. If you're on their list, it means you're good. Like, they do a good job.
They're in on everybody.
They're in on everybody. And no, they're not. Because not everybody's good.
Well, no.
They're in on everybody good.
They're in on everybody good. They always get the best guy at the trade deadline. Right? They did this year. They've got.
I don't know if 3.8 doesn't seem like any of a discount. That seems about market rate.
And they were in a bidding war with Minnesota. I don't think they got a discount. I think it's just they had the money to spend because their other players took a discount, which inherently is the issue in Toronto.
And he's a great fit there. Bruins fans know I have no problem with them. Bless you guys.
Do you guys know? I always laugh when I pull up the Bruins cap friendly. Do you guys know the deals for Pastrnak, Marchand, and Bergeron?
Yes, but read them out anyway.
No, why? Why are you doing this?
Dries Bergeron makes 6.8. David Pastrnak makes 6.6. Brad Marchand makes 6.1. That's crazy.
Or as Don Waddell calls it, 3 Dougie Hamiltons.
The Leafs top 3 players make almost double that. Tavares, Matthews, Marner, Pastrnak, Marchand, Bergeron. The Leafs make those guys make just 3 million shy of basically double that.
Are we too hard on them?
Yeah, but we're too hard on them. Oh, you guys got to have more faith in Dubas.
Listen,
I want to
hammer us if we ever make shit up.
All right.
But what Jesse just said is he's reading off of screen.
Less than $20 million for one of the best lines in hockey.
So here's what I would say to that, okay, guys? I'm going to be Twitter guy, okay? Twitter guy.
Let's stop pre-Twittering ourselves.
You ruined my life. I am dark quarter of the internet, and I'm going to say, yeah, but the pandemic, nobody planned for that, and the cap was supposed to go up to like $90 or $95 million.
Fair.
All right, Adam, bunch of numbers. That's great. But which teams would have 3 double-digit guys if it weren't for the pandemic?
Which teams?
Which teams would have 3 double-digit guys? Which teams would join the Leafs to have 3 double-digit guys?
I don't think there is.
Blackhawks are close. They have 2, and Seth Jones came close.
And maybe Seth Jones's contract's higher if the.
There you go.
Yeah.
The Lightning are close, except
But
they still have 0.
Braden Point, by the way, an 8-year contract extension, a year out from it at $9.6 million. Now, and by the way,
they don't call him
stop.
Braden 8. I fucked it up.
I was
going to say they don't call him Braden .893.
Oh,
What up. I shouldn't have fucked it up the first time.
Okay.
It was a good line.
This whole idea, by the way, that the state tax in Florida has anything to do. Alan Walsh has tweeted this multiple times. There are ways, if you make that kind of money, if you have the right financial planners in Canada, to make basically the same amount of money. So this whole bullshit notion that the taxes are higher and you can't. Actually, you can. You just need to hire a financial planner. So you know why Braden Point took that amount of money?
Because the Lightning kick all the ass.
Right. And
put ass in front of them and they'll kick it.
And here's the thing. Now that the Leaf players didn't, because they didn't, now they're going to have to shoulder this. And what they're getting is, and people are like, well, it's really hard to play in Toronto. Fans are really hard on them. The thing that fucking drives me crazy.
They're in the building! They weren't there!
Well, social media. The thing that drives me nuts about NHL players is that like they all act like they'd prefer the arenas just be empty. I just want to play hockey and I want no one to watch and have an opinion.
The Habs made it to the final.
Well, no, but what I'm saying here is like, I understand that there's pressure, but there's pressure in every sport. There's pressure.
But there's more pressure in Toronto. I think you have to,
and Montreal. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a detriment for the Leafs because I think you have to overpay a little to get hockey players to play in Toronto unless they want to be here. In order to convince them to put up with the media in Toronto, because they perceive hockey players are so different than the other sports because they perceive the bigger markets as negatives. You know, they don't want to play in Canada because this is the number one sport. They don't want more attention on their game. It's so strange, but I think that causes teams in Canada, and that includes the Leafs, to overpay a tad bit for players to come here because they don't want this attention on them.
The Canucks, Vancouver's a brutal market, and they won back-to-back President's Trophies, and they were a game away from the Stanley Cup. Boston
is tough as hell.
If they don't like you, they'll stab you in the neck.
Philadelphia.
But
on the way out of town, Philly, well, they haven't won for a
But the Bruins aren't the number one sport there. Like, they're not the number one team there. They're three. They're not. You know?
How do
the Lakers ever win anything?
Because the NBA player mentality is I'm going to go to the big market with the big teams and all the stars. The hockey mentality is I'm going to go build a great team with a bunch of guys who just want to play hockey when no one's watching.
All right. Well, everyone tell us how far out we need to move. It's unaffordable anyway. You tell us how far we need to move outside of Toronto for this team to be successful, and we'll do
Timmins.
It.
Right. You have to play it'd be the Timmins.
I'll move to Moncton. I don't give a shit.
But back to,
I'm sorry for holding you back from my house.
Right. Braden Point made a smart decision in the fact that, and Kucherov made a smart decision, and Stamkos made a smart decision. They didn't take that extra $2 or $3 million they could have taken, because that would have pushed them over the edge of, here's how much criticism I'm able to take, and here's how much I'm going to have to be involved in this team's winning. And what that means is, like, you look at proportionally how the Lightning rely on those players and how that's spread around a little more, whereas the Leafs have 4 people. They have 4 guys, and mostly 3 of those guys who they rely solely on. And now those guys are isolated.
Can I read off the bottom 6 that we came up with?
Yeah.
Mikheyev, Kampf, Simmons, Robertson, Brooks, Spezza.
Now read the Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup winning bottom 6.
I don't even want to.
I don't know what it is now. Well, yeah.
No, from their cup victory
roster.
On the night of game 5.
You got to give me a minute.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
This is the thing. When you push for that extra couple million, you should expect more criticism. You should expect to be relied upon more heavily than Braden Point is to win with Tampa. This is the cost of costing a team more money, which you could have made up in endorsements anyway in Toronto. Like, really, you could. And I don't know. To me, it's just, I mean, good for Tampa.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry that I can't, listen, this excludes literal online abuse. That's bullshit. And no one should ever have to go through that.
Obviously.
But we're talking about legitimate criticism here. Okay? And legitimate criticism we are going to give because those players held out and pushed for more, each one of them, except for Tavares, who actually took a pay cut.
Technically.
Potential pay cut. I think, honestly, I don't have a problem being this critical of them. And I'm going to continue. And I expect big things. And I expect them beyond the regular season. When you look at the way other teams are constructed, the teams that consistently win are not teams constructed like this.
Yeah.
They're just
Tampa was able to build this incredible roster because they have guys like Hedman only making 7.8. They have Kucherov at 9.5. They have Stamkos at 8.5. They have Point before this deal at 6.7. Like they're just fantastic numbers, and I'm so jealous that they have these numbers for these incredible talents that they have them in under the books at these numbers, because that means you can build a better team around the guys, because it doesn't take only 3 stars to win a hockey game. It's not the NBA where you can get just a bunch of nobodies, but you surround them with 3 guys who are in the top 10 of the league and you automatically are in the finals. You know, it doesn't work like that in hockey. And then if you don't get these deals, you probably can't build a solid roster up and down the entire thing. And the Leafs are in a tough situation right now.
And at what point do you say, maybe not yet, that the Greybeards might have been right? When these guys were saying, I'm going to sit the season, trade them.
Yeah. Sorry, I finally found it. This was tweeted by Simone O'Lorange. Mm-hmm. Tampa's bottom 6. I don't know which game this was. It was July 5th. I think that was game 5. Blake Coleman, Yanni Gourde, Barclay Goodrow, Patrick Maroon, Tyler Johnson, Matthew Joseph. You want to know what's wild about that? They were missing Killorn.
Oh,
that's a great bottom 6.
Holy shit! Oh my god! But it's okay. Their left side of defense was really shitty. It was Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev. The Lightning are wild. The Lightning are unbelievable. Oh man, the best team, $99 million can buy. By the way, the Sabres have a goalie now.
Yeah, Craig Anderson.
Oh, no way.
He's 40.
He signed a league min.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I'm not a kid.
Sabres are going to be so bad.
Yeah,
They'll be fun.
As your backup, okay, maybe. Right? Okay, he was fine in his little stint with the Caps. Okay, maybe. What else? They cannot be done.
No, I don't think they are.
No.
You know what? Mikko Koskinen makes a lot of sense if you can pull a pick out of Edmonton.
They also need to reach the floor of the cap. So Koskinen, the 4.5 will help.
Also respect Craig Anderson. He really wants to play hockey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man.
We now have to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. We have to talk about the statement. Mm-hmm. We have to talk about the timing of the statement and who the statement is from. The Montreal Canadiens are owned by Geoff Molson of Molson Coors, as in one of the biggest beverage companies in the world. Geoff Molson has been radio silent for almost a week on the Logan Mailloux controversy. And as we know, as we do not need to get into because we did so on the last episode, spent a good chunk of time on it.
There's an hour you can listen to.
Yeah. As we know, this is bad on so many levels. It prevents the person who is drafted, who asked not to be drafted, to actually get a chance to go and get help and fix things and deserve to be drafted. Prevents that from ever happening. It puts to shame and really negates anything that the Montreal Canadiens have ever said about inclusion in hockey and things of, I don't even know how to describe it, guys. It's more like we talk about you can play, we can talk about hockey's for everyone. We talk about,
and we forgot to bring this up earlier, the Get Uncomfortable pledge that the Carolina Hurricanes took. Well, so much for that.
That's
much for that.
That's so true. I forgot about that. Shit,
so much for that.
So then on the busiest day of the year at the busiest time, right around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
It was 12:35.
So it's 35 minutes after free agency opens when it's just a flurry of things. The Montreal Canadiens go, hey, here's a thing from Geoff Molson.
Yeah.
As if we wouldn't see it. Now, unfortunately, it's at the end of a free agency episode for us. So it seems a little buried, but we'll make sure that this clip actually gets out there as a highlighted clip as well.
Well, and I will say, I had some people go, well, he's also doing a press conference. It doesn't change the fact that it's today.
Mm-hmm.
It's today. That release came out when it did, and that conference came and went, and then hundreds of millions of dollars were spent.
So
doing anything today, putting out a message of significance today ruins it. It will be buried. It will be forgotten. It may be consumed by more people releasing it today, but it'll go in and it'll go out.
Mm-hmm.
They'll forget.
Let's read it.
Let's read it. That's what I want to jump in, because that, Steve, your point, especially after you read it, is becomes much more salient. So this is a letter from Geoff Molson on the Montreal Canadiens website. Let me read the whole thing and we'll go through it. Canadiens owner, president, CEO Geoff Molson has issued the following letter on the team's decision to draft Logan Mailloux. Message to everyone impacted by our decision. I want to share with you my perspective on our decision to select Logan Mailloux in the 2021 NHL draft. This decision, made in the context of the draft, turned out to be instantaneously very offensive for many of you. I understand that you expect more from us and we let you down. The Montreal Canadiens are more than a hockey team. Logan's actions do not reflect the values of our organization, and I apologize for the pain this selection has caused. First and foremost, regarding the young woman who is the victim, I want to say that we do not minimize what she has had to and continues to have to live through. No one, especially not an 18-year-old, should have to suffer through traumatic experiences like this. We are there to support her and her family and respect their privacy. I'd like to highlight that, but we'll come back to it. Our selection of Logan was never intended to be disrespectful towards her or her family, or more generally towards women or other victims of similar situations. Our decision was not intended in any shape or form to be an endorsement of culture of violence against women. Logan is a young man who committed a serious transgression. He is genuinely remorseful about the pain he's caused. He is committed to becoming a better person, and we will work through him on this process. At this stage, it is only our actions that will speak louder than words. So they get into the list of actions. Number one, over the course of the next few months, we will develop, in conjunction with local experts, a comprehensive plan to raise awareness and educate young men and women about this serious issue. We will use our platform and our resources to turn a decision that hurt many people into one that brings meaningful, impactful change. Number two, we will support and oversee Logan's commitment to becoming a better person. Number three, we have asked Logan not to participate in our rookie or main training camp this fall. Being a player in the NHL is a privilege that is earned, not a right that is granted. As the year progresses, we will reassess Logan's readiness to be a part of our organization. We gave Logan a second chance, but in doing so, we failed to properly assess the impact of our decision on the victim and anyone who has suffered in similar circumstances. Once again, I want to apologize to everyone impacted by our decision. I repeat, our actions will speak louder than our words. We will continue proving we are an organization this community and fans can be proud of. Lastly, I want to thank everyone that provided their feedback on the situation, including partners and sponsors, so that this mistake becomes an opportunity to grow and raise awareness. Geoff Molson, owner, president, and CEO of the Montreal Canadiens.
Can you start over and I'll stop you? I'll stop you very early. Don't worry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I want to share with you my perspective on our decision to select Logan Mailloux in the 2021 NHL draft. This decision, made in the context of the draft, turned out to be instantaneously very offensive for many of you.
Turned out to be? You had a statement prepared. Turned out to be. And now you're going to keep him away from a rookie camp. He's not going to be with the organization for a year because maybe you saw that statement from him and you went, you know what? This is the path towards reconciliation. We do want him to stay away for a year, but I tell you what, when he comes back, dibs. That's what you did. Adam, you had something.
There's two things I want to say, and I can spread them out. I don't have to say them back to back, but the part where he says we are there to support her and her family and respect their privacy. How? Are you donating money?
Right.
Are you paying for therapy? What are you doing?
Encouraging a heartfelt apology, which she still does not feel like she's received.
Yeah,
by all accounts.
I would like to know where that is. I'd also like to move. There's actually 3 things. Sorry. Our decision was not intended in any shape or form to be an endorsement of the culture of violence against women. So remember, go throw back to last show. Let's say I'm behind the wheel of a car and I hit Steve, and police press charge because I was being what is it? A dangerous driver. My intention wasn't to hit Steve. So if I say to the cops that wasn't my intention, they're not going to drop the fucking charges.
It goes back to the Carolina conversation. Like, I don't think they were endorsing or trying to endorse D'Angelo's behavior, but guys, I don't know. He's really good at hockey.
And here's the other problem I have. And there's the 3-point plan that they have. We're going to work with these people. We're going to try to make them a better person. The Montreal Canadiens are going to try to use this as a PR win in the next 18 months. They're going to be like, look at this new and improved Logan. We did this.
What today? Today.
Like
trying to use it as a PR win today.
So, and you might say, well, what should they even do now? Renounce pick. Let him do it.
You can do that. If you thought the pick was so disgusting and you're so sorry for all the people that were hurt by the pick and everything it did, then take away the pick. You have that option. We saw Arizona did it last year. There is precedence for this. You can still
Less
do
than a year
that.
ago.
Go ahead. If you truly feel, hey, this pick was a bad decision, take away your own pick. You can do that. And also, if you're the president of a $1 billion company, I expect you to make decisions where you don't have to issue an apology. You should get it right the first time.
Well, especially on a softball like this.
Like all you had to do was not do it.
Right. You should know that beforehand. Don't the apology you're already wrong, because your decision should be made the first time, because there's so much riding. You affect so many people. So many people care about the game and the sport, specifically the Montreal Canadiens and the crest and everything they mean to people who care about that franchise. Make the right decision the first time and don't do things that require an apology.
Oh, well, Jesse, I mean, if we didn't pick him, someone else would have.
Then let them.
Yeah, no, like it's
better.
It goes back to, are you a child? Like, this is elementary school logic. Well, someone else was gonna, I don't know, steal the Dunkaroos off your desk, so I did it instead. Guys, we're adults here. What are you talking about? Someone else would have picked him. No one should have picked him. He publicly asked you not to pick him. Not hard.
Right.
Not hard.
And you've robbed him of the opportunity, frankly, to do it himself, to make it more believable. And I think that needs to be listened.
Sorry, your wording caught me off guard.
Well, what I mean by that is this is a player that needed to go on a journey. And this is a young man that needed to go on a journey of reconciliation, of apology, of growth, of all the other things. And frankly, and again, please do not forget the victim in this. People are like, well, redemption. Whatever redemption might have been possible. I mean, the guy got drafted anyway. You took that. And I think he needed to come back a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, having put in the work with receipts, getting into the community, talking to other young players about the dangers of this. Then talk to me about redemption. And frankly, let's see what she thinks.
I hate how disingenuous all of this is.
Right. Again, this is going to be a PR win for them. People are going to be like, look, the Canadiens, wow, rehab central, so amazing. Look,
it's bad faith. Us, we didn't realize you had a prepared statement. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you.
You wanted dibs on a hockey player, and you're willing to go through all this and do your PR spins because you're like, we still got dibs. He might turn out to be a great player for our team down the line. So we're cool with this. And that's the honest assessment, is you put hockey over doing the right thing. That's full transparency. You're caring more about hockey here than all of the things you listed in your statement.
And something that he asked not to be, which is drafted.
Like, I'm just thinking how
even the player was against this.
Publicly anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking how I would, if I got home from school early and I took out the trash and I folded the laundry and then I accidentally broke a plate. And then my parents got home, but I cleaned it up before they got home. How I would deliver that information. Hey, son, how you doing? Oh, pretty good. I took out the trash. I folded the laundry. I might have accidentally broken the plate, but how was your day at work? That's what they did on free agency day. Let's just put that in there and we'll get out. Okay. And now it's out of the way.
Yeah.
And Bergevin had a quote today that was basically like, all right, now it's time for action. Actions speak louder than words. Watch. Which is a very unique way of saying, okay, now shut up about it.
Yeah, it's like, all right, guys, we did that horrible thing, but, it's 5 days later. We're all ready to move on. We got to sign a bunch of contracts. So let's focus on that.
And I want to say it was Stuart Cowan, or was it Stuart Cowan or Arpin Basu who pointed out it was select media today at the press conference.
At Geoff Molson's press conference?
Yes. Select media, meaning not everybody was invited.
Yeah.
I think most people see right through this.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, seeing right through it doesn't change it.
No.
Like, it's like, oh, we see right through you. And they're like, great, we've got a talented player in our organization.
Yeah, they're sitting there being like, we still won.
Come see me. I'm a glass of water. You can see right through me. Yeah. And we're winning. And this is the thing is that after you go to the Stanley Cup final, you just went and I don't know if I've ever seen a team wipe the good faith away so quickly. I know there are Habs fans who are like, man, I just love this team so much. And I'm not disappointed in this at all. I'm sure there are people out there. But for the majority of Habs fans, they're going, what the fuck is going on over there?
I'm amazed how many messages I've gotten from people who are like, I've been a fan of this team since the 60s. And imagine what they've seen, and they're like, and I cannot believe they did this. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? It's not like it's shocking to me. Shocking. You just pissed away all the goodwill. Why? For what? Is any player worth that? You're the Montreal Canadiens. I
still can't. I cannot let go of the idea of they're surprised. They're pretending like they're surprised.
No,
they didn't know this was coming. No, they knew. They're liars. They're liars.
And if they didn't know, that's even worse. If they didn't see this coming, that's worse.
Yeah, which is
so
worse.
We're giving them credit. We're giving them the credit that they knew this was going to happen. We're assuming that they're smart enough to figure that this is the position they'd probably be in 5 to 6 days later. We're giving them that credit. I don't know if that's deserved, but we're giving it to them.
My theory is they may be being disingenuous about not knowing.
Steve.
I'm trying to be a lawyer. Trying to be a lawyer about it.
I was looking for this quote that Engels had from the Geoff Molson press conference. I think it's important to read. So this is from Eric Engels. In a brief conference with select media, Canadiens owner Geoff Molson said the following about drafting Mailloux. The short answer is that is up at the draft table. That is up at the draft table. The impression that we had, the facts that we had, was that he was going to be drafted by somebody in the second round. And it was an error in judgment. If I had known the repercussions to the greater community beyond just the Montreal Canadiens and our fans, I think I probably would have. I wasn't at the draft table, but I probably would have avoided that situation. But now I'm looking forward, and we have selected him, and we're going to do everything we can to use that situation, not only for him, not only to do whatever we can for the victim, but for future potential victims in the community to make sure that we do a good job and we make the best of the situation we've created that's disappointing.
I know that's a Molson quote, but that's Bergevin earning his money as a dartboard.
So you're saying you didn't know?
He's just that was the follow-up for what we were just saying. He's saying,
you're surprised.
I didn't know this was going to happen. And if I knew this would happen, man, I would have told them not to make the pick. That's bullshit.
You can undo the pick right now.
Yeah.
You can undo the pick at any moment.
We've gotten ourselves in this terrible situation, and we're not doing anything to get out of it. I guess we'll just have to look forward.
Imagine you announce the pick and then someone signs him. Like, imagine the shit they're going to have to deal with. That team, right? Who's lining up to do that?
Well, Mitchell Miller's not signed and is undrafted now. Since we can take shots at the Coyotes and how they're run, but at least they had the balls to renounce.
I wonder how that situation would have played out if Mitchell Miller was a first-round talent.
Yes, he got it. Not as good. Not as good.
If he went 15th overall,
it's that simple,
top
folks.
10.
So you think that they looked at this and went, "This guy, the chances of him making it? I mean, maybe because he was going to be a second rounder."
Yes, I remember reading that.
So
he was
the
drafted
chances,
about where he should have been. I think they took him.
No, they took him in the fourth.
He's a little later. Okay. A little later. I mean, that's not unheard of.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, a little racism, a little bullying only cost you 60 places in the draft. Like that's what we're saying, right? Like that's how it looks.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But you're right. If he's a first round talent, they probably go, well, it's worth the PR hit.
We renounce a fourth round pick. All right, just do it. Oh, first? Oh, I don't know.
We already did it, so we might as well just look forward, you guys.
Yeah, too rich for my blood.
I hit Steve with the card. I'm going to look forward.
That's what you should have been doing the whole time, Adam.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Steve, it's an unfortunate situation. And had I been in more control of the wheel, I probably would have steered the other way. But having hit you now, I'm going to move forward. So, Steve, bring us to the Sabres, which will bring us to our conclusion. Or are we ready?
You guys want to end on a thing?
I do.
On a move? So, we were talking about Craig Anderson's the starting goalie of the Buffalo Sabres now. No. What if I told you they have a tandem that's $1.5 million total? Because they just signed, the Buffalo Sabres signed Aaron Dell.
Oh, God.
Who's got wicked pads. He does. There's dragons on them. I hope he changes them, that instead of red and black, they're blue and gold. And he changes the dragon head to mean, like blowing smoke out of his nose buffalo. That's what I hope he does.
They've also signed Mark Pysyk as well.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Here's how bad Mark Pysyk wants to play hockey. He's going back to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Back. It's like I was saying, like people were like, oh, Reimer or Bozak, sign him. They were on those Leafs. Mm-hmm. I would not come back if my experience was those Leafs. The Sabres still okay, you don't have an NHL backup there. You don't. I think what they're going to end up having to do is sign whoever the hell you can. I think Aaron Dell is a placeholder, and the victory here for Aaron Dell is he's under contract. He'll be put on waivers. Someone will have a situation where they need a goalie and they'll claim him. That's what's going to happen. You can't go into the season with Aaron Dell and Craig Anderson. You simply can't. You cannot. Unless your mission is the first overall pick, then fine.
I think the tank, that whatever the Sabres tank year was 14 or 15. I think this is going to be way more fun than that. Because they don't have anyone.
You know who I'm going to predict is going to be a Buffalo Sabre?
Who?
Curtis McElhinney.
Oh,
I forgot he was still available.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Surprised the Lightning wouldn't want him because success seems to follow him wherever he goes. It's crazy.
Next stop, Buffalo.
The last time the Leafs were likable, Curtis McElhinney was the backup.
He was pretty good backup, ain't he?
Do you think Dubnyk could go to Buffalo?
I think anyone who wants a job, it's a good spot.
It says something that the Sabres are in the situation they're in, and the people we just mentioned are not signed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I just won back-to-back cups, I ain't signing in Buffalo.
Yeah. Well,
You don't like Cheektowaga?
Hey, I don't think it's anything
I don't know
about
what that is.
Buffalo, the place. Tanawanda. It's nothing about Buffalo. It's
Right,
the team.
right.
It's the team.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's the team.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the team.
Mhm.
You got passionate fans in Buffalo.
Mhm.
No, it's nothing about the city. I'm not making fun of the city. I don't think that's nice. I don't think that's a nice thing to do.
No.
I think it has something to do with they've been dog shit for a long time, actually. That's what I think it has something to do with.
And they're about to trade their franchise player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you want to come here? Have we mentioned we're going to get way worse?
That's it's pretty difficult to commit yourself to Buffalo when you have no idea what's going on.
But Jeff Skinner is the face of the franchise now.
We've hit our record for longest podcast ever.
Actually,
Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
cool. It feels like it.
And I think we should wrap it up. So listen, we love you. We're going to be back with CJ on Friday. And like we said, Rick Westhead next Wednesday to break down the Chicago Blackhawks situation. We're looking forward to both of those shows. Thank you so much for listening. As long as you have, it's the longest podcast in history. Steve Dangle, congratulations on a very successful trade deadline day, sir.
Thank you.
You can go to bed. You are almost on vacation.
Have fun on the radio tomorrow there, bud.
Yeah. Hey, thank you. Don't forget to argue with somebody on Twitter before you go to bed.
Oh, don't worry. I will.
Even if you're not on Twitter, just argue with Guy.
My ceiling is going to hear about it tonight.
I'm ready.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.